Hello, friends. Welcome to the Reversion. Thank you for joining me on a Friday evening. I apologize for the absence the past week. I have been under the weather, I guess, as they say, and it's. I feel like I say this every time, but it's good to be back. We'll be doing some more frequent streams in the. I've said this last time, but like for real this time in the coming weeks. So good to see you all here. Welcome to the chat. We've got the usual folks in here. Appreciate seeing you guys. And, this wasn't really advertised or promoted or whatever. So just wanted to pop on here and cover some of the developments that are happening behind the scenes. Not as much behind the scenes if you've been following this stuff, but, while everyone's kind of fixated on things happening in the war in the Middle East and in Iran and all this crazy stuff about Netanyahu possibly being dead, which I know that was, earlier this week. I don't know if that's kind of calmed down now, but for a good 5 to 7 days, that was kind of the discourse, wasn't it? But there was some really interesting stuff that was happening there that I do want to talk about tonight. Not as much the speculation if he's alive or dead, because I'm not particularly interested in that. I mean, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I'm not going to make any assumptions about that. I'm certainly open to talking about it, but I'm more so interested in the AI aspect of all this, because what's happening with in the midst of the bombings in Iran and all of this crazy Zionist stuff that we've covered in depth here, what we have is the framework of the surveillance state being built. And I believe that what's happening is there's going to be a post-war surveillance state that they're preparing for right now. So we need to be paying attention to these things that are happening. And what we're going to be covering tonight is, basically we'll start with the highest level of governance. We're going to start with this Pax Silica that's being established and what's happening with, the usual suspects, the Palantir and all these big technocratic corporations that are now building a digital ID system, or rather it is built and they're basically in beta testing of it right now as we speak. So we're going to look at what's actually happening there. And we'll talk about some ways that you could avoid all of this. Although I'll give you a disclaimer, it's not going to be easy, right? Because we know that what is the direction things are going in, we're going to be trading our convenience at the expense of our privacy. And that is going to be the precedence of whatever's coming. I mean, if we could speculate on what's coming, but if you want to go to 5 years ago, what some of the stuff the World Economic Forum was saying, right, that they still have on their website about this a digital pandemic, something like that, right? So, if you believe COVID kind of just was a one-time thing and it just stopped there at this biological virus with a vaccine, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but I don't think they're going to pull something like that off again on the biological level. I think that they obviously they outplayed their hand on that, and they wouldn't be able to do something like that again. But I think what's happening is there's preparations for a digital version of that, some kind of digital lockdowns, right? Some kind of there's going to be something that is going to set the standard and the justification for a mass adoption of digital IDs. So think about, right? Think about how, like I said, they wouldn't be able to pull off a COVID again, right? Because they're not going to be like, hey guys, there's another, there's a giga COVID now, right? So you guys are going to have to get quadruple vax or whatever, right? They're not going to do something like that. But think about, you know, what caused people to get in line for the jabbies. Even people who were maybe even a little bit aware of what was going on. They were all gaslit by mostly by their jobs. So if they wanted to keep their livelihood, they had to do this, right? And I think what's going to be happening here, as we'll see, like I said, we're going to be covering this stuff here. I'm just giving you a preview. But what we're seeing here with this rollout of these digital IDs is there's already that kind of moral justification they're trying to establish to gaslight us with. And right now, the testing ground for the digital ID system is age verification. So we covered this in one of the prior streams when there was that news about Discord rolling out a age verification system, and it was causing widespread chaos. People were freaking out. Everyone was talking about, we need to get on a new platform. You know, screw this Discord nonsense. We're out. We're going to start on this some kind of open source platform that we don't even know how to get up and running, right? I don't even know how many of those people actually left Discord. I would imagine they're all mostly still on it. Okay, so they were freaking out for a while, and now everything's kind of like that. No one's really talking about that specifically anymore. But what we're seeing is now this is happening on the operating system level. So we're going to get into that too, and how they're rolling this out, and what it means for us, and how most of the population is probably going to go along with this, even though they might have some level of awareness of what it is and what's going on. So I'm glad you guys joined me here. Again, this is going to be the usual all over the place, unstructured stream that I do because, you know, that's how my mind is. It's just all over the place. But let me catch up on chat here. Yes, exactly, Fatim Ali. You will own nothing. You will have no privacy. You will be happy. I mean, we're there. Yeah, we're there. We don't have any privacy online anymore. So the way things are going, the way things are now, and they're just accelerating and worsening seemingly by the week, is that this is all basically going to force us, if we want to continue using the internet, we're going to come to a point, if we're not there already, which I think we are, where you're going to have to get a little bit nerdy. So if you're not a technically minded person, if you are not technically inclined, you don't really have experience with coding and building things, right? You're going to have a lot of trouble continuing spending time online if you're not comfortable with exchanging that attention and time with your own data, with your own more of your own personal data. So that's a decision people are going to have to make. It's like, the way I see it, it's going to be three paths you can take. You just log off, right? That's probably the best route to go. But not everyone is going to be able to do that, because that requires like a lot of stuff. It's not just logging off. It's like you have to start deleting your digital footprint. And even with that, you're not going to be able to erase most of it. But that's the safest route. Most of us here are not going to be able to do that. So for most of us, our options are going to be you comply and you just go along with it. And maybe you say, well, I don't really care about privacy. I just want to keep doom scrolling and consuming all the digital goy slop that's being algorithmically forced in my face every day as I wake up and start scrolling for 8 hours a day. I just consume, right? If you're going to be one of those guys, well, you're cooked, basically. You're cooked. Because that's the exact type of person that this is going after. It's like people who just don't care. Just give me my dopamine and, here, take my ID, whatever I need to do to keep consuming, right? And then the other option is going to be, well, you want to keep using the internet, you're going to have to start caring about these parallel systems, these decentralized networks, and building these decentralized networks and systems that we can continue communicating online. And even with that, it's going to be very inconvenient. So we're going to talk about also, maybe towards the end, I don't know. I don't even like saying towards the end. I don't know when this is going to come up. But we're going to talk about how your phone is probably, not even probably, it literally is the worst piece of technology that you have, that you own. And so, the smartphone is very difficult to stop using. It's something that has been part of our lives for very long. We have grown, we've been groomed into having this great reliance on it where, you can't even really travel without it. You can't, you don't have your map. You can't map out traffic. You can't do a lot of things without it. You can't buy a lot of stuff without one now, and we're going to talk about some ways that we are required to have a phone and how we can start to circumvent that. Because at the very least, you need a phone for even verifying a lot of stuff like banking, right? You can't really have a bank account without a phone number. So your phone number is now like a digital social security number almost. It's like so tied to your identity that you basically can't even have a bank account without one. You can't open a bank account without a phone number. You can't verify your two-factor authentication without a phone number, without them sending those short codes to your phone so that you can verify your logins and access your own funds, right? So we've already, for many years, been groomed into this system of having to verify our identity. And we're going to see how this is starting to become much more in our faces and how disturbing it is that this is going largely untalked about, at least outside of the tech world. So yeah, my point here is we're going to need to start caring about this stuff, guys. So if you don't follow tech news and stuff, because, I understand I'm not a developer. I'm not a, technical person. I'm not a programmer, an engineer, right? Well, look, these are the people building our infrastructure that we live on are those people. So you want to understand what the society that's being built that we're part of. You have to be part of the news cycle and what's happening in the tech world. Thank you for the $20 ID, bro. What's up, man? Thank you very much for the 20. Appreciate it. COVID put the health infrastructure in place. The coming digital lockdown paves the way for physical lockdowns / restrictions from jobs unless you comply by joining digital ID banking and medical shots. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, medical stuff too, right? So, the credit system is tied to your whole credit score. It's it's all tied to your phone number. This stuff is so unavoidable now that it's your life is going to be completely miserable and you basically can't do banking and participate in society without at least a phone number. So maybe you don't have to have a smartphone, but you do need a phone number. So we're going to, be looking at some of this stuff. But like I said, we'll start here at the government level and what's happening with the Trump administration, with this Pax Silica that's going on. There's a new cyber strategy for America that was released this month that I didn't really see anyone talking about. what does this stuff mean? We have talks about a potential, well, we already had one of these, but there's talks about, these cyber threats from Iran, that Iran is going to be attacking America with cyber warfare. Okay. They already attacked one company called Stryker. They're, like you were saying, ID Bro, they're a medical, I believe some kind of medical infrastructure company, that they, all their servers were attacked, and I guess they shut down. I don't know for how long, but we're already seeing this stuff, whether it's false flag or not. That's a whole other thing, is that, like, what was COVID? It was a massive false flag. Well, I suspect what we're seeing here, and what we'll continue seeing, is these false flag cyber attacks that are seemingly coming from foreign agitators that are going to instill all this fear. Because, what can we do against a cyber attack from a foreign country? What can you do as a citizen? It feels almost hopeless, right? It's like, how, they're attacking these mega corporations and these financial institutions. What can I as a citizen do? Almost nothing. Okay, well, what does it mean for you, though? It means a lot for you, because it means what COVID meant for the average citizen, basically. Okay, how all of that stuff was brought down on us, on the average Joe, who, the average wage slave, and that's the people it affected most, actually. So, and it was all coming from the top down. All right, so let's look at, maybe this is a good place to start here. So, yeah, there's this article from the Washington Times. This was earlier this week, or I guess last week. Welcome to the AI-powered surveillance state, how government could use the tech to track and profile citizens. So, this is getting mainstream coverage. Like I said, it's just kind of in the shadows of the Iran war. You always want to pay attention to things happening behind the scenes, well, like during wartime. There's a lot of really important, pivotal things happening while there's ongoing wars that everyone's paying attention to. So there's plenty of commentary at this point, guys, on the Iran war and on Israel and, Zionism. It's like, I contribute to that too myself, but it's like, there's plenty of stuff going on with that. You can tune into almost any channel that is covering politics to any degree, and you can get probably much better commentary on stuff than you would here. So we need to be paying attention to this emerging surveillance state, because it's moving very rapidly. Don't forget, guys, this is all being done with this accelerationist ideology. And you can see here, it says that right in this first paragraph. It says, we may have received a preview of what an artificial... Sorry, let me make this bigger. We may have received a preview... Sorry, now I see that it's cut off. It can't win here. Well, you'll have to deal with the small text. I'll just read it. We may have just received a preview of what an artificial intelligence-powered surveillance state could look like, and it should give every American pause. AI promises extraordinary innovation. It will accelerate medical breakthroughs, streamline logistics, and unlock efficiencies we are only beginning to imagine. Recent events reveal how AI could also supercharge the government's ability to monitor, track, and profile citizens at an unprecedented scale. At a high level, it is unfolding over how the federal government may use AI systems. So that's another thing we need to be paying attention to is these AI initiatives that are being done through the U.S. government. They're now working towards this Pax Silica, as they're calling it, which we're going to get into shortly. Another 5 for my Debro. Thank you, my man. During wars, the most activity and change happens at home. Look at all the buildings, institutions, bunkers, airstrips, policies set up during World War II, 1 and 2. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look at all of these. If you're in the book club and you joined us for our latest discussion on the book Operation Gladio, you see how all of this like kind of covert shadow regime change happens during wartime or preceding wartime, and how it goes largely unnoticed by the populace. So it's our job as people who are interested in what's happening in the world to some degree to understand not just like the current thing that everyone's talking about, but what's happening here on our own homeland, right? It's like we're all looking at the Middle East right now, and the rug's being pulled from underneath us with this surveillance state. And it is all connected. So it's like, I'm not trying to say that like no one who talks about geopolitics is talking about this. Like, that's not true at all. But, there's some great commentators that I've been tuning into the past month or so. And they've been doing excellent coverage of this. Let me get back to this article here. In February, tensions between AI company Anthropic and the Defense Department became public. Anthropic's model Claude was the only AI system integrated into certain classified military environments. Okay, we talked about this on another previous stream. I don't even remember at this point which one, but I've talked about AI so much, but how the AI is what's powering the AI industry is the military industrial complex. So it's now pretty much fully merged with the U.S. military, and the driving force behind, military operations. And that's basically what they're using to scale U.S. military operations in general. So it's all like totally integrated now with the U.S. military. And so you have all these, corporations that are building these LLMs, Anthropic, Claude is Anthropic, OpenAI, right? All the big ones are working with the U.S. government. We saw that day 2 of the Trump presidency, he signed that deal with OpenAI to start building the AI infrastructure, okay? Trump is the most... everyone calls him the most Jewish president ever that we've ever had, but he's also the most, perhaps the most transhumanist president we've had. Not in the sense that he himself is a transhumanist, but what he's doing to advance the transhumanist agenda is unprecedented. Now, whether or not that is Trump's doing, or that's like an inevitable thing that would have happened regardless of who was in office for the last 2 to 3 years, who's to say? But he's certainly been from day one very much like focused on AI. So this has been probably even more so. Like, you could probably point to more advancements he's made in the AI industry than he has with all the usual stuff people criticize him about. So the dispute is about the dispute between Claude and the Defense Department is about prohibiting Claude's use in mass domestic surveillance and fully autonomous weapons. So what this is saying is that the company Anthropic, who built the Claude LLM, has this deal with the Defense Department to build this this military AI, and they're telling the Defense Department, like, look, we're a little bit concerned here, because you guys don't want these limitations that we've placed on the LLMs, so that you can implement them for mass domestic surveillance and to build these fully autonomous weapons, these literal Terminators that they're building for warfare. So Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, kind of a, it's very interesting that these guys are also like the most vocal Christian Zionists. They, some of these figures are also just as much advocates for the AI surveillance state. You've got Pete Hegseth, who argues that the AI system should be available for all lawful purposes. He noted that mass domestic surveillance is already illegal. Well, what point is he? What point is even mentioning that? I mean, like that just is saying nothing. Mass domestic surveillance is already illegal. Well, but it's still happening though. It's been happening since 9/11. Like we've been in a surveillance state since 9/11. The Patriot Act is illegal. Like, what is he talking about? It's already illegal. Like how has that stopped anyone? How has that stopped anyone in the US government from conducting mass surveillance? The fact that it's supposed to be illegal. So he reportedly demanded that the restrictions be removed and warned Anthropic that it could otherwise be labeled a supply chain risk or face intervention under the Defense Production Act. On February 26th, Anthropic publicly rejected his ultimatum, which revealed the potential scope of an AI-powered surveillance state that it's trying to safeguard against. In his rejection letter, Anthropic addressed the two contested limitations on autonomous weapons. Anthropic stated that current AI models are simply not reliable enough and warned that such systems could put U.S. soldiers and civilians at risk. Okay, so like think about what's happening here. This is insane. This is how insane the people who run our government are. They're going to get us killed, if not by dying for Israel, on our own homeland with these AI war machines they're building to surveil us. Like, so you have Anthropic saying like, "Hey guys, do you realize that these AI models are like, they don't even really know what they're talking about? Okay. And you guys I think the US government, these boomers have no clue that they're not as advanced as they're perceived to be. Like if you've spent any time engaging with these AIs, like these AI models, they are completely malleable. You can make them believe and regurgitate back to you whatever you want them to. We see that all the time, even just on X. You don't even have to use them. You can watch a reply thread on a popular, on a viral thread, especially if it involves video and people questioning what's real, which, ties into what we're going to be talking about with Netanyahu. It's people like arguing with the chatbot. They would be arguing with Grok. And you can see in real time Grok changing his mind because of the way that the users manipulate the prompts, So like that's the technology that the US government wants to turn into a fully autonomous weapon of war. It's absolutely insane, you guys. Like this is a real thing happening. The section on mass domestic surveillance was even more revealing. Using these systems for mass domestic surveillance is incompatible with democratic values, the letter reads. AI-driven mass surveillance presents serious novel risks for our fundamental liberties. No kidding. Thank you. ID Bro, man, is the top pay piggy for the night. Appreciate another 20, dude. Thank you so much. Remember the short film Slaughterbots? No, I don't. I don't remember it. I've never heard of it, but that sounds crazy. I remember talking to a man whose brother does logistics between China and the US. He talked about 10K delivery drones that are housed in intermodal units whose lid opens for deployment. Oh my gosh. Like Lord of mercy, I guess. It's just like we're at the mercy of these people, We're at the mercy of our rulers. So Lord have mercy on us all. So, and another $5 from ID, bro. Thank you, and for another $5, man. Slaughterbots short film about autonomous drones which use biometrics for targeting. There is much more advanced biometrics than face. There's brain. Yeah. I would wonder when that movie was made, because that's like a real thing happening now. So again, like, science fiction movies, if that's what it is. I don't know anything about this movie, but you can look at other science fiction films that seemingly predict this stuff, but it's really, I don't think it's really that I don't really think it's that esoteric or like some kind of like spiritual thing happening where they're getting like some kind of demonic insight into the future or something. I think a lot of these guys just kind of are aware of the logical conclusion and direction of this of technology, of where it's headed. And then there's also, I think, a large part of it is that the field of technology is inseparable from science fiction, at least in the modern sense, and digital technology. It's like all these guys that are innovating, these technocrats that are building our infrastructure, they are obsessed with science fiction. And they're trying to impose a science fiction universe upon reality. They want us to all live in like Star Trek or some kind of like soy science fiction LARP, because they think, they think that they can create that reality. Is that another donation that came in, or am I hearing things? I'm hearing things. Okay, I'm hearing the donation sounds in my head. That's how I'm getting psychosis, I guess, already. In other words, so I'm going to continue here. The section on mass. We're here. Anthropic also addressed the argument that AI should be or usable for all lawful purposes. It wrote, to the extent that such surveillance is currently legal, this is only because the law has not yet caught up with rapidly growing capabilities of AI. Yeah, well, and it's not going to. That's the whole point. That's a false limitation to be placed on AI. That you hear these, even these like AI regulator types, like this is Elon, right? Like Elon's one of these guys who he wants to both advance and accelerate the development of artificial intelligence and simultaneously regulate it. And it's like the further advanced it's getting, it's like it's moving exponentially further away from being able to be regulated. So who knows if that's all like, honestly, I suspect with these guys that they know that. Like, how could they not know that? And the whole thing about like they're publicly talking about like advocacy for AI regulation, I think it's probably just like for PR, like to make it seem like they're not actually as like as insane about ushering in like whatever they think a singularity is or something, like it gives them some plausible deniability if they just talk more about like regulation advocacy. But it's like there's no way these guys don't know that that's not going to be possible the more that it advances. Like the US government, you're talking about like, this is the institution you want to regulate AI, the same institution that you're having to write a letter to say, hey, these models aren't as advanced as you think. You can't build autonomous weapons of war with them. This is the institution that these AI leaders need to petition to the US government about, and they want, at the same time, they want that same institution to regulate it. Make it make sense. So in other words, surveillance law was crafted for a pre-AI world. Yeah. like, it's just not possible. Like, AI surveillance is already way beyond the extent of anything being able to be regulated. The letter then outlined a sobering scenario. For example, under current law, the government can purchase detailed records of Americans' movements, web browsing, and association from public sources without obtaining a warrant. Yeah, you probably can gain much more information from a person than you could if you were to get like a search warrant and go through their house and their belongings and all that stuff. Powerful AI makes it possible to assemble this scattered, individually innocuous data into a comprehensive picture of any person's life automatically and at a massive scale. And they can do that for anyone. Okay, you don't have to be a criminal. You don't have to be like on a wanted list or something. You don't have to be on the Glowy's watch list or anything like that. The crazy thing is that this stuff is now open to the public as well. So just about anyone, if they know how to use these tools, can start creating these profiles on pretty much anyone who's like active online, who has any degree of a digital footprint. They can just start, like, any citizen can just start profiling another citizen. So it's not even exclusive to the U.S. government. Just a few years ago, scattered GPS pings or browsing histories were fragmented and largely useless without enormous manpower connecting the dots. Now, AI systems can instantly synthesize millions of data points into a predictive profile of an individual's life, where they go, whom they associate with, and what they read and what they believe. What was once cumbersome and impractical could become effortless. Like, think about how much they know about you just because you have a Google account. Just because you have a Google account, which, by the way, is tied to your phone number, okay? For the most part, unless you went through the effort of trying, detaching it and using some kind of other way to authenticate your account. Most Google users have their phone numbers tied to their account. And you've got all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's like Google is the worst, the worst offender of our privacy. The worst, I would say, by a lot. In terms of private corporations, that and the amount of data that they have on us. Because like, don't forget, even with the Google trackers, like, you have all these Google trackers are embedded in like a majority of websites now. So like, people always wonder, like, how does the algorithm know that, like, you're browsing Twitter or YouTube or something, right? It's like, how does the algorithm know that I was like interested in this thing? I never searched for it on this platform. Well, because there's these trackers that are tracking all of your web browsing on whatever site you go on. So it's all automated data collection that has built a profile on your behaviors, on the things that you like, that your own family members probably don't even know that much about you. An expanding AI surveillance toolkit. Above is just one way AI could enable mass surveillance. Other proposals are already emerging. Last year, an AI startup made headlines by claiming it would end crime by building a nationwide network of AI-enhanced cameras. Okay, so again, you see that the justification is always done. It's like no different than anything else, right? No other way that they usher in these mechanisms of control and tyranny. It's always on behalf of, the greater good of the public, right? It's like, to prevent terrorism, it's just to monitor terrorists, guys. We don't want to actually monitor our own citizens. It's for terrorists coming in that are posing threats to us, right? And we'll see with the digital ID that's now in effect, or will be fully in effect by 2027, the way that they're justifying it is, well, but what about the children? Don't you care about kids? Don't you want to protect kids online? Okay, suddenly that's a thing that the U.S. government's concerned with. is protecting kids online. Like we just, you know, didn't have the Epstein files drop and like no, and they were all silent on it, you know. It's like now they care about the safety and security of what children are exposed to online. Got another 5 from ID Bro, holding it down tonight, funding the entire stream. I appreciate it again, man. Sent you some biometric ID datagram breakdowns from my old job in the Discord chat, plus 8-minute short full and 1.5-minute trailer. They're both TTID related. Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out. Thank you. Okay. Another one from ID Bro. Another 5. Justification for it is also migration and voting. Yeah. Exactly. I've mentioned that many times before. How you're seeing a lot of the, the quote unquote dissident right, who is either silent on AI surveillance or they are okay with it because it means that we could automate tracking these immigrants coming into our country. Like we can automate the process of mass deportations. Like that's a thing that's going to happen. Okay. Yeah, I'll check out. Let me just bookmark that so I don't forget what you sent. Let me see. Biometric cloud identity. Okay, let me see if I can share this real quick. This seems pretty. I'm not even quite sure what I'm looking at here, but I'll put it on the screen real quick. Okay, so biometric cloud identity plus wallet. Okay, so it's a biometry plus PIN. Open an account, eliminating complex public/private keys. Yeah, we're already seeing that. Yep. And then it goes into this, which is okay. API to the identity elements, system level reputation metrics. So you've got all these tracking mechanisms within that. User knowledge proofs, biometric data, public-private key pairs. Face prints, fingerprints. Okay, so and then, yeah, this is on like I'm trying to kind of decipher what this all means here, but I think I see here, like this is the level that we engage with here, which is like through face prints, fingerprints, personal history, passwords, pins, AI mapping, AI import. Okay. So this is a technology they're working on, biometric cloud identity plus integrated with the wallet itself. So like this stuff's all already being streamlined, how we log into these, like, you know, to secure accounts, like for, you know, financial accounts, for example. And again, there's a reason why the banks, like they basically don't give you the option of not using your phone number to authenticate your account. So yeah, this is going to become more. This whole process here is how it's happening. This is how they're going to do it. So again, you know, we're going to be forced to start getting a little bit nerdy here, guys. We're going to have to start understanding what this stuff means to some degree. I'm not saying you're going to have to become an engineer, but you have to understand what this stuff is doing and how they're implementing these systems, and pay attention to your day-to-day life and in the digital world, and how you're interacting with the platforms you're on, the accounts you're signed into, how you're signing into them, your browsing, all this stuff, man. What's running on your phone without you knowing. Okay. So again, we're going to get I don't want to get too focused on all this stuff, because I do want to leave some time to talk about some ways that we can start to be more mindful about our privacy. Again, we're going to be forced to, guys. Like you're going to be forced to start really considering digital privacy if you want to keep using the internet without being, utterly psyoped by a massive, this massive data farming operation and become basically cattle for these mega corporations to get your data for free and just sell it off to unknown parties, because that's what's happening. This whole process here, it's like we're giving them this data for free. We're all doing that willingly. That's what social media is. There's that famous saying that if you're using a free app or a free platform, you are the product. And it's so true. It's becoming even more true as our own personal data is getting more and more valuable. Okay, and so we're using these platforms that we think are free, and we're actually the customers that are being or we're actually the product rather that's being harvested and sold for a profit. And in some ways, you're almost better off actually paying these platforms. Although with that also comes having to sometimes having to verify your ID, like with Twitter, for example. It's like you can get the blue check mark, and you see what happens. You see less ads, but to get that check mark, you have to verify your ID. You have to submit your government ID to this company X, who's probably selling it to Israel or has some, it's probably getting to Israel somehow. And even if it doesn't, it's like it's going to some company that now has your all of your online activity on that website, and it's all tied to your government ID. And that's what you have to do to even stop getting ads and stop being treated totally like like you're a product. And in that case, you at least make some money back while you give away your data for free. So there's all these trade-offs that are invisible that we don't really consider them because of the nature of these platforms and the way that technology advances. It's all this invisible trade-off that happens through upgrades, through us being hooked on these applications and these platforms and going along with whatever direction they take it in. Okay, just like how X became an AI data farming platform overnight, and we all kept using it, knowing that, right? It's just like that. I always use that as an example because that's like a very relatable example that I think we're all aware of. And, we saw it happen with YouTube as well. So like all these, social media platforms were in many cases like the first implementation of AI, if you think about it. Because what's the algorithm? It's something that learns your behaviors, what you like, so that it can serve you more of it. And it's like the whole thing is a echo chamber, confirmation bias. So it's going to keep serving you what it thinks that you like because of what you engage with. That could even be stuff you don't like, but you engage with all this stuff you don't like, and it's just going to throw more of that at you. Like how it, I fall into these traps knowing this stuff too. Like I fall into these traps myself. Like, if I start engaging with these prot slop accounts on Twitter, well, guess what? I'm going to see more of that. I'm just going to see more of that niche part of the internet. All these Protestant slop posters, I'm going to see more of that content if I engage with like one or two of them just by replying or by quote tweeting it to dunk on them or whatever. The algo does not care about your preferences and about your beliefs. It's just serving you more of what you're engaging with. And that's the, incredibly addictive nature of it. So they're both making it more addicting and making it more invasive at the same time without us realizing it. It's all like a boiling frog effect. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. There's another one here. Kina Bank scaling new heights with Everest Network. Okay, I'll probably read this later just because not sure what this. Okay, the Ever ID datagram. This looks kind of old. When's this from? November 2020. So this is Ever ID uses biometry or the specific unique physical or behavioral characteristics of individuals to identify users. And I think, yeah, I'll read this later, but I'll just share one more thought on this. But with this datagram stuff or this these biometrics, it's like part of the boiling frog effect, if you want to call it that, is that this was first implemented and normalized on the individual level with the way that we even unlock our devices now, okay? We're using biometrics just to open our phone. Like, how many times a day do we use a biometric method of accessing our own data just by unlocking our devices? Whether it's the facial recognition or the the thumbprint scan. I do know people who will opt out of all of that, but the thing is, it's still built into the technology now. So like you can talk about like, oh well, I disabled my my face the face recognition on my iPhone. Well, there's still a front-facing camera, and if you turn the light off, there's ways you can actually see like the rays of like the beams of whatever it is that's like emitting out of the camera without it even being on. So it's like, who knows what's going on there? You don't know how this technology works, right? You don't know how this works if it's actually on, even though they say that there's no privacy invasion or whatever. It's like you really have to trust these people. If you don't know how this technology works, you just have to take their word for it, which most of the population is doing. Yeah, so there you go. Place of birth, date of birth, gender, phone number, photograph of ID card. So all this, I mean, look, all this stuff is like, we're already there. This is already the system that they have, that we've been testing for years now, and they're now moving into the next phase of all this. Yeah. Google constantly warring against Brave browser's built-in ad block. Yeah, guys, if you don't use Brave chat, you are that's just an L. I don't know. I can't think of a reason why you shouldn't be using Brave, especially if you are not really interested in like taking these extra measures to like harden your browser and all this stuff. It's like, just use Brave, bro. And especially even just to like watch YouTube with no ads. I mean, it's just great. And plus the founder of Brave is based, Brandon Ike is his name. He actually invented JavaScript and was the inventor of the Netscape Navigator, the first, I believe it was one of the first browsers. It's like OG internet stuff. Only my fellow millennials might remember that one. But, and so if you go on Reddit and like search for stuff about Brave, like you see all these, Redditors like crashing out over, not use it, like why they don't use Brave. And it's literally just because Brandon Ike is a homophobe, because he like was, like an open advocate. He was like openly, like condemning gay marriage or something. It's like, it's pretty mild actually compared to, how far he could have gone with it. But yeah, they don't like him because of that. But it's like, that makes it even more based, whatever. Yeah. So use Brave. There's a lot of stuff about Brave actually, not just the ad blocking, but, turn off all the crypto stuff. People complain about that. Like, oh, it's got all this built-in crypto mining and whatever. Just turn it off. Okay. So yeah, there you go. Don't need to sell me on it, already downloading. Well, if I were to make if I were a Brave partner and there was like something to purchase and I made a cut from it, I would definitely sign up to be in that program, but you should just get it for your own privacy and security. But, just keep in mind, it's like it's never just one tool. Like a lot of people think that they're doing enough by just getting, improving their security and their privacy, like with one tool, and like, oh, it's just, if I just get a secure browser, I won't end up being tracked. It's like, well, that's just adding one layer. Like security, online security and privacy is about layers. Okay. It's about layering your exposure to the web. And so it's just about adding all these layers, and the more layers you add, the more inconvenient everything becomes. And that's why most people aren't willing to do it, because it in most cases revolves around resisting the like the way that the way that the software is built, right? It's like the software compels you to behave a certain way. And if you wanted to add these layers of privacy and security, you have to make it harder for yourself to use that technology. That's how it is for like all of it, basically, in a nutshell. So the more layers you add, the harder that becomes to, like, the more impractical that becomes to do. And it makes everything slower. It gives you more stuff to maintain, more tools to use, right? So it's like, it's an uphill battle. I mean, our time is limited, I think, with all this stuff. There's going to come a time where it's basically impossible. I mean, it already is impossible to be totally anonymous online, but there's going to come a point where you have a serious decision to make, because everyone's got their limit, everyone's got their cutoff point. They just probably don't know it yet. They don't know what it is because they haven't given it much thought. But we're going to soon, be confronted with having to do that. So, all right, that's this article here. Let me put the screen back. Yeah, let's kind of move things along here, because there's I'm realizing because I haven't streamed in a while, I've got all this material I wanted to cover, and I think I'm just yapping too much, and I won't be able to get through it. So I might have to reserve a lot of this for another stream. But here's Pete Hegseth.
Making the investment.
Sorry, let me fix the sound here.
To get their Gemini app to about 3 million users in the War Department. But today, we're excited to announce the next frontier AI model company to join GenAI.mil, and that is Grok from xAI,
so now
which
Grok's
will go
on board
live later this month. So I want to thank you, Elon, and your incredible team for leaning forward with us on this as well. Very soon, we will have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department. Long overdue. To further that, today, at my direction, we're executing an AI acceleration strategy that will extend our lead in military AI established during President Trump's first term. This strategy will unleash experimentation, eliminate bureaucratic barriers, focus on investments, and
just
demonstrate the
governance.
execution approach needed to ensure we lead in.
So they talk about this stuff like it can actually, like the way that they talk about AI governance is as if it's possible to go the way that they think it could. Again, what do these guys know about AI and about digital technology? What does Pete Hegseth know? Like, he probably knows just as much as he does about the Bible that he's claiming to use to justify bombing Iranians. It's just insane. Like, these people don't know anything about this technology, and now you've got the CEOs of these AI corporations having to even tell them, like, guys, I don't think it's as advanced as you're hoping that it is. It's just insane, man. It's just insane. So we have also, I didn't see anyone talk about this. There's a new cyber strategy for America from the Trump administration. This was this month. This was earlier this month. So, like, when you see this stuff, read it, okay? Read it. It like, yes, it does use all of this, like, political jargon, but there's always stuff that's, like, you can see that's like like coded in these statements, right? So it says, over the past year, the United States has shown the entire world that we have been the most powerful, sophisticated. One sec, guys. I'll be right back. My dog's chewing something that's looks like a piece of wood or something that she's not supposed to be. One sec. What do you have? No. The heck? What is this? Come in here. Get inside. All right. I don't even know what that is. Interesting. I love having a dog. I literally don't even know what this is. She just finds stuff to destroy. Find out whatever. My dog literally chewed $100 bill that I had on my table. Just grabbed it off the table and ate it. And I could not redeem because the serial number was, of course, she ate the part with the serial number that you could bring back to the bank and they could redeem it if you had the serial number, but I could not redeem. So very expensive stuff that she happens to be able to destroy somehow. Anyway, let's continue on here. So this is the cyber strategy for America. National Cyber Strategy outlines my priorities for ensuring that America remains unrivaled in cyberspace. It calls for unprecedented coordination across government and the private sector to invest in the best technologies and continue world-class innovation, and to make the most of America's cyber capabilities for both offensive and defensive missions. It's not like there's really not much he's saying here other than that there's this global initiative now. Our cyber tools and operators are the best in the world, and we are empowering them to defend America by disrupting and disorienting our adversaries and denying them a safe haven. Okay, so again, using that language of like, this is all for our security, you guys. This is all for our security. Don't worry about it. The United States has capabilities that the rest of the world can only begin to imagine. A lot of this is just Trump speak. He's just overhyping everything. Our warriors in cyberspace are working every day to ensure that anyone who would seek harm to America will pay the steepest and most terrible price. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Like a cyber attack? We're going to launch these cyber attacks now? That's what it sounds like. This sounds like an offensive program for a cyber warfare initiative. As we approach the 250th anniversary of American independence, the strategy laid out in this document will help ensure that America remains the strongest, freest, and greatest country in the history of the world. American power will finally stand up in cyberspace. Okay, so this is more. This is probably the part he didn't write, which is probably more interesting because you get more of this utopian language here. Cyberspace was born in America. American talent, innovation, research, powerful government capabilities. All right, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but the point here is kind of what I said. It looks like this is some kind of cyber warfare initiative for the offensive. Okay, pillars of action. Now, this pay attention to. So here's the 6 pillars of action that our government will be utilizing AI warfare to initiate. So shape adversary behavior. All right. We will deploy the full suite of U.S. government defensive and offensive cyber operations. We will unleash the private sector by creating incentives to identify and disrupt adversary networks and scale our national capabilities. Now look at this. We will counter the spread of the surveillance state and authoritarian technologies that monitor and repress citizens. Cybercrime and intellectual property theft are some of the most greatest threats to the global economies. So this is just BS because we're going to look shortly here, because I want to move on from this, but we're going to look shortly here at what's happening on the state level with this rollout of the digital IDs. So it's like, what do they mean by surveillance? They never tell you what they think surveillance means. That's the problem, is like, we read something like this and we're like, oh, see, you know, Trump says right there that he's against, you know, cyber surveillance against U.S. citizens. Well, what does the Trump administration think surveillance means? Because, like I said, we're already under a surveillance state. We've been under one since 9/11. There's all this stuff that's like the TSA, for example. That's like, the TSA is illegal constitutionally. That's an illegal government operation. Okay, so like, this stuff has been with us for a very long time. Many of you are were born into this world, this post 9/11 world, and so what do they mean? What do government people mean by surveillance? Like, they never tell you that, what that looks like to them. So the second one is to promote common sense regulation. All right. We went over how that's kind of impossible. Modernize and secure federal government networks. Okay. So now he's using these terms here: implementing cybersecurity best practices, post-quantum cryptography, zero trust architecture, and cloud transition. These are just buzzwords. These are cybersecurity buzzwords. The people reading this letter, like, most citizens reading this, are not going to know what. They're just like, oh, big technical words. Got it. Sounds legit. We will work to elevate the importance of cyber in government leadership and in the boardroom. All right. Secure critical infrastructure. You know, I'm going to show you one crazy way that they're doing that. Sustain superiority. And okay. Build talent and capacity. There's your cyber strategy for America. So there is, I want to try to be brief with this too, but this was something I didn't see many people talking about that directly relates to this. But this was a viral article that was going around on Substack. I guess this was in December. And this is a journalist who did some really great research to find who was behind the funding of this ballroom that Trump is building as an extension to the White House. And she found basically that what he's actually building is an underground data center. And on top of it is the ballroom. So the ballroom's basically like a cover for what's actually happening. And because you can just look at, like, there's all this really undeniable evidence for this stuff, because she just goes through the whole donor list and how all the major donors are tech companies that are, you know, building LLMs, and they're involved in the AI, you know, military industrial complex, right? A bunch of them are Israeli too, by the way. Big surprise. So Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Palantir, Booz Allen Hamilton, all these tech companies. It's like, why is Palantir, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft investing in the ballroom that they're building on the White House? That doesn't even make sense. So this is, you know, the infrastructure being built even as an extension to the White House now. So if I can remember, I'll include this. Here's what I'll do. I'll just post this in the chat now, because I'm going to forget to post it. But you can check this out on your own, because she covers it in a video here too. What's this? History of propaganda. Okay, yeah. Yeah, go check out History of Propaganda. Yeah, a ballroom. Yeah, a ballroom. Exactly. So yeah, this is a whole other rabbit hole. Like I was almost going to do a whole stream on this, but so I don't want to get too carried away with that. But that's just to show. This was back in December, but that's just to show that, how involved Trump is in this AI initiative, right? So let's get more into like how does this? Actually, is there one more thing? I feel like there's one more thing. Oh, Pax Silica. Yeah. Okay. One more. So this is Pax Silica. Oops. This is Pax Silica. This is the the Department of Defense flagship effort on AI and supply chain security, advancing new economic security consensus among allies and trusted partners. So this is basically a global partnership for establishing this global AI ecosystem. And here's the countries that signed on at the onset of this partnership. You have Australia, Greece, India, Israel, Japan, Qatar, Korea, Singapore, Sweden, United Arab Emirates, and United Kingdom. Taiwan was the only that endorsed Pax Silica's declaration principles. Okay, so they didn't sign, but they endorsed it. Okay. So this is basically like the, it's almost like an EU that's emerging for just specifically for AI, Pax Silica. And if you want good coverage on this, go check out Geopolitics and Empire on Substack. He does excellent coverage of basically a lot of the stuff we're talking about here. So, this is like something to just know that's happening as well. Now, let's look at how this impacts us. Okay? Because this still, all the things we covered up till now seem a little bit out of reach, out of our ability to have any kind of, say or resistance in. So let's look at what's happening with our own technology that we have, that we're using right now. All right, so this was towards the end of February, this stuff about the digital ID or age requirement, age verification, as they're calling it. So make no mistake, age verification systems are really, like when they say that term, age verification, it's really ID collection. That's what it is. It's automated ID collection. The AIs, these technologies, these automated technologies cannot actually extract your facial data and your government ID from you. That's one thing they can't do, because you have to give that over willingly. We're only willingly giving over our seemingly invisible data. We're okay with that because we can't see it, right? But that part is that's the next step, is like, how do we now get all of these people who are, giving away all of their data online to actually identify themselves and have their identification, all of their online behavior linked with their government ID. And now it's becoming an access point, right? So now with this age verification, this is what's giving us access to our own devices, not just the internet, but to our own devices that we're using that connect to the internet. So this was from Apple. In response to the age requirements for apps distributed in Brazil, Australia, Singapore, Utah, and Louisiana. And Apple, not too long ago, I want to say maybe 2024, were outspoken against this kind of thing. They are, at least on paper, one of the more private big tech companies in the way that they don't hand over data to third parties at least. You know, they have a lot of our data if you use Apple products, but you know, the third parties, they do make efforts to I guess not sell their customers' data. I don't know to what degree, but you know, one thing that comes to mind, for example, is like the unlocking of the iPhone devices, right? There was some terrorist or some mass shooter or something, I remember maybe a couple of years ago, and the FBI was like demanding that Apple unlock his device so that they could look through it, and they wouldn't do it. And they had a principled stance on it. They were saying, like, you know, if we do that for one guy, even if he was a terrorist, that gives us like the excuse to do it to anyone, which is the right attitude. But you know, because of how big they are, they're going to have to go along with these laws that are rolling out now in various states, like California, which is where Apple's from. So California is now rolling out this ID verification on the OS level for all operating systems. And they're going to have to go along with it if they want to sell their product in California. So even if it's just one state, they're going to have to go with it. Like, you have to adapt to selling on a national scale for that state law. And as we'll see, it's in more than just California. I think Colorado is another state, New York. More and more states are signing on to this. So this is Apple responding and talking about how there's now this age verification for Apple products in these areas. So accounts in Utah starting May 6th of this year, and accounts in Louisiana. All right, Singapore, Australia, Brazil is in rough shape right now. We're going to see how this is being done on the national scale in Brazil. Thank you for the another 5 from ID, bro. Thank you, man. They keep it in a walled garden, which just means that they sell access to companies to access your data within that, but not export. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the walled garden, they called it. Now, that walled garden, I've been in the Apple ecosystem for over 10 years, probably longer than that. I took a 2-year break from all Apple products and got into Linux. And now I'm at the point where I'm going back to that. I should have just stayed on that course, but you know, again, it's the trade-off of convenience. It's like, yeah, Apple products, when you're in the Apple ecosystem and all your devices are linked together, and you could just, like, you know, copy a text that you got on your phone and go on your computer, and that text is on your clipboard, and you could paste it into your browser or something like that. Like, that stuff's really convenient. Airdropping, like all this stuff, they did a really great job of that whole part where it's like the utmost convenience, and like that's how they keep people in their ecosystem. It's like no one wants to give that up because there's nothing else that has that deep level of integration among devices and accounts and syncing and all that stuff, right? Their UI is super clean. Their devices just work really well. Their chips are among the best in the market. Okay, the M series chips are like outperforming many of the flagship AMD and Intel chips. But it's all like the walled garden even applies to the hardware. You can't go into it. You can't unscrew the back of a MacBook and replace the RAM, replace the hard drive, replace the battery. You can't replace anything. It's all made for planned obsolescence. It's all made for the software or the hardware to run its course within about 5 years. So you have to buy the next Apple product. So that walled garden is, it's a walled garden for us too, like to keep us inside of. So that's Apple, responding to this. And, like I said, they were against it at one point, and now they're going along with it here. We see that this happened here on, when was this? Oh, so that's okay, same time. This is the same story here. So this is what the context is. They rolled out age verification tools worldwide to comply with growing web of child safety laws. There you go, child safety. So these laws that are being put into place are on behalf of child safety, they're saying. So you can see how they're going to gaslight us. Like, oh, don't you care about child safety? Wait, you're against the age verification tools? Like, how could you be against that? That's all for child safety. That's for them, not us. Like, we're just confirming that we're not... and like, the crazy thing about that is, like, you're confirming that you're... like, by it applying to adults and children... that's just confirming, like, think about adults that are predators online, how if you're on a platform where there's some kind of mark or like a verification marker or something for accounts that are confirmed and verified as adults, right? And then there's all these accounts that don't have that verification. Like let's say Discord. Let's say something like Discord were to happen on Twitter, where now on Twitter, there's like a new badge, a particular badge that is showing that you're verified as someone who's over the age of 18, okay? That means all of the people on the platform who don't have that badge are minors. Like, think about what that does for predators. Like, you don't even have to ask their age anymore or like seek them out. Like go specifically to these places where like underage kids hang out, and it just gives it gives like underage it gives children a marker for them to be identified by predators too. But this is all being done, of course, in a way that they're going to be gaslighting us to say that don't you care about the safety and protection of children? Well, how about parents start actually monitoring what their children are doing online? God forbid they do that. God forbid these parents actually don't use iPads as pacifiers for their children and put them in their rooms with these, with unrestricted internet access. God forbid they don't do that, and they just actually know what their children are doing on the screens. But no, now these big tech corporations are the ones that are going to step in and monitor what protect our children, protect what our children are doing online for us on our behalf. Because we're too busy doom scrolling too. We're too glued to our screens to actually parent our children, I guess. So it's just ridiculous. Like, this is the whole reason why they're going to be using this stuff, which is, like I said, the precursor to actual digital IDs. The infrastructure is already in place. We're already there. This isn't a speculative thing anymore. This isn't something that, is just like not really something to worry about right now. This is in effect. We have to know that this is happening, and we have to start taking action against it now, like yesterday, actually. And so, by the way, this is all going to be happening. Let me see if we can find a link for this. I first found out about this through the Linux community, actually. There was a great, if you want better coverage on this specifically, follow Brian Lunduke, who's also he's on Twitter, he's on Substack. He does excellent coverage of not just like what's going on in the Linux world, but how all this digital ID is affecting even Linux, because the law here that they're trying to roll out is that this applies on the OS level. This isn't just Apple. This is for any operating system that can potentially connect to the internet. So think about this. This is how they're going to make an ID system where you have to give them your ID in exchange for internet access. They don't even have to do it. Like, that sounded kind of goofy if you were to say that to someone like a year ago, like, oh yeah, you're going to need to submit your ID to gain access to the internet. It's like, to who? Who do I have to give my ID to access the internet? The internet's free. What are you talking about? Well, it's going to be to it's on the operating system level. So to even run an operating system on hardware, they're going to want you to identify yourself with your government ID. Now, I don't know how this works with headless servers that are running on Linux, for example. Like I have a VPS that's, offshore and it's running a headless Ubuntu instance. It's like, do I have to verify my ID for that? How does it even work? It's just running, like think about how you have countless headless servers around the world that are running without even a human, without human involvement at all. It's like a human spins them up and lets them run, and that's it. And they just run in persistence. So do those machines also need an ID? It's like stuff isn't very well thought out, but they're pushing for it anyway. So again, the same people that think that they could create these autonomous AI war bots think that they can use the Linux kernel to implement a mandatory ID system. It's like, yes, some distros are going to go along with it, but a lot of distros are actually pushing back. We saw that this was the case for, where is it here? Gosh, I have so many links open. This was the case for, System 76. This is a Linux company. So a lot of the Linux, the leaders in the Linux space are starting to push back against this. And then you have, of course, same applies to Android. All right, so you see all these websites here about Android, reminding everyone that Android's going to be a locked down platform by the end of the year. So this is all going into effect 2027. Or I guess for this is September of 2026. So towards the end of the year, towards the end of this year, what you're going to have to do to run Android is pay a fee to Google, agree to Google's terms and conditions, provide a government identification, upload evidence of the developer's private signing key. That's probably, that one I would say is probably a good thing. Just to prevent, all this spyware and stuff that you can download from the App Store or whatever. And listing all current future application identifiers. So they're telling you what this means for your rights. You, the consumer, purchased your Android device believing Google's okay. So here's the thing. Forget all this, man. Just if you have, unfortunately, this only applies to Google Pixels, but if you have a Google Pixel device, there is no reason you shouldn't be running Graphene OS on it. Graphene OS is the only mobile operating system that actually does have a good amount of privacy built into it, because it's completely de-Googled. So even though you're using a Google phone, ironically, the Google phones are the most hackable. And so you can actually install a modified OS on the Google Pixel phones, and you could run Graphene OS, which detaches you from any kind of Google identifiers and does a lot to kind of streamline the tools that you may need to use your mobile device somewhat privately, at least way more so than if you were to just use an Apple or Android device out of the box. But like I said, if you really want to be undetectable and use a mobile device, you're going to have to not have a phone number. So you can do all that and still have a phone number, and it's still doing more than the average smartphone user is doing by a long shot. But, again, it comes with an inconvenience, because being detached from Google, if you're using a Google device and you're not on the Google Play Store, there's a lot of inconveniences you're not able to use, because the Google, they have I forget what it's called. It's like a initiate. It's like a Google init thing that runs in the background that is running with the Google Store, and it's confirming and authenticating certain apps. And so Google Maps, for example, you can't just run Google Maps on an ungoogled device without being signed in to Google. So even with a de-Googled device, you need to be signed into Google to use their services. So it's you can have a Google device, and now Well, what are you going to do about maps? You can have or what I mean is the Graphene OS. You can have Graphene OS and not have the Google Maps, and now it's like a big inconvenience. So this is what I mean. You can start applying these layers, but be prepared for some major trade-offs, some major inconveniences in your life that are otherwise at the expense of your privacy. You're going to have to start taking this stuff very serious if you haven't already. Thank you for another 5 from ID Bro. Can we get W's in chat for ID Bro, and perhaps some more variety with the donations? So you know, I'm not complaining, but you know, some more variety would be awesome. An aspect is AI safety. Don't know who is kid or adult. Verify everyone. Don't know who, what is AI and human. Verify the human. Don't know who's... Yeah. Well, yeah. So, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I did want to go over some of this stuff with the AI psyop with Netanyahu, because I was monitoring that situation too, and I do want to focus a little bit more here on like personal things that we can start doing, but you know, I feel like now if I start going into that, it'll be a little off topic. But that is, you know, you raised an important point there about identifying who is AI, who is not. Like we're already there, we're already doing that. So you just had that whole week of a news cycle where the entirety of Twitter was obsessively analyzing these videos of Netanyahu, which may or may not have been AI. They may have been real. And now they're all doing this AI analysis and like looking at his fingers, looking at his pockets, the ring on his finger, how his mouth's moving. Oh, he's missing teeth in his mouth here. Like breaking down all the frames of these videos. That's how that whole rumor started that he was dead. Was like a video came out and it looked like it was AI. And then the crazy part is people are using AI to try to confirm or debunk whether it's real or fake. And the AI itself is not able to do that. The AI isn't as reliable in that kind of tasks, and it doesn't have the, you know, capabilities to definitively know if something's AI or not. So like already the AI has surpassed its own ability to discern itself. So, and you see all the time in these reply threads, like the same thing I was mentioning earlier about how you can like gaslight the AI into making it say what you want it to say. People are doing that with these quote proofs of these videos that may or may not be real. And so we're already at this point now where we can't even trust our own eyes. Like we're seeing videos online that may be real, in many cases are actually real, and we're not even believing that they're real. We're thinking that they're fake psyops, and it's like real things that are happening. So like that's where we're at now, where it's not only are the real things fake and gay, not only are the fake things fake and gay, but now the real things are also fake and gay. It's like everything's just fake and gay, even things that are really happening. We're not even like convinced that what we just saw really happened, like that kind of thing. There was all these videos of like missiles hitting Tel Aviv that were AI, and like people were, you know, huge accounts like posting that this was a real thing that happened. And it's like, man, yeah, like it's believable because they were really being bombed there, but it just wasn't that exact video. So it like is much more effective to propagandize people when they can actually see some like crazy stuff happen. There was one video yesterday of a journalist in Israel who it's like a drone bomb hit like right near him. Like it was, I think, targeting him, and it just missed him. And people were like, that's not real. And it's like a real thing it's crazy, man. Like this is where we're at. So this is just happening in war right now because that's what's happening. But this is going to keep getting worse. This is just going to keep getting worse with everything that we see now. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Yeah, like I said, we're just in yap mode now. So we're yapping tonight. I have to catch up on the yapping because I've been away for a while. For server OS, each ISO is generated to the hardware. You provide the model number, serial number, and the OS for the hypervisor is generated from the manufacturer. I'm dealing with this right now. Oh, wow. Yeah, so it's like this is how, like, they don't need to actually make some kind of like system to use the hardware, like where we have to verify our identity or something like that to use the hardware. They're just applying it to the software that runs on the hardware. So it's just being done on the OS. That's all you need to do to regulate computer hardware. You just apply it to the OS level. So yeah, this is okay. Again, Android, iOS, Windows, Mac OS, various Linux distros. You want to avoid this stuff, you got to start looking at alternative OSs. For desktop, that means Linux. For Android, you basically have that one option. You have get a Google Pixel phone if you don't have one and install Graphene OS. That's if you, if you must continue using a smartphone. Best option is to abandon that altogether, but I realize that's at this point, pretty unreasonable for most people. But if you must have a smartphone, start saving or doing what you can to get a Google Pixel device and get Graphene OS installed on it. Start learning about it. Learn about how to flash a ROM. Start learning about how to use Linux. Okay, a lot of Linux distros. That's a whole rabbit hole. Once you go down the Linux rabbit hole, you kind of don't come back. But look, like I said, we're going to be forced to either become somewhat nerdy and start learning how to use our own tools to take control of our data, or we're just going to fall into place in this system if we want to keep using the internet. The whole internet is this is all like we're in war when we go online. I mean, even when you're not online, you're just having your phone idle in your pocket. This stuff is all happening. You have all these third parties that are mining data from your phone just by having it on standby in your pocket. There's all this, like, on various websites and apps that you have open, there's all these trackers that are running in the background that are mining your own data. And so you're actually paying for that. If you have a data plan, you're paying for that. So, like, think about how crazy that is. You are paying for an unknown third party, for various unknown third party companies that are more anonymous than you are online, apparently. You're paying for them to extract your own data that you didn't consent to. That's what's happening. That's what's happening 24/7 as your phone is idle, powered on. So that kind of stuff, it's like, not to mention just having a SIM card. All right, look what's happening here. You have now SIM binding. Check this out. SIM binding is mandated from March 1st. How WhatsApp, Telegram, Arati, and other messaging apps change. SIM binding requires messaging apps to verify that the original KYC verified SIM card remains physically present and active in the user's primary phone. So the SIM card is a huge identifier. That is probably the most primary identifier of your smartphone is the SIM card. You cannot use the cell towers without a SIM, whether it's an eSIM or a physical SIM card. You do not gain access to any cell towers without it. And so that is the most unique identifier that you have. That's tied to your IEMI identifier, which is the hardware code on your the unique code that's on your smartphone device. So any SIM card has its own unique identifier that's also attached to that IEMEI. Sorry. So it's binding to your device itself. That's why the best thing you could do if you must own a smartphone and you want to like avoid all of this is to not have a SIM card, or not have one that's at least not have one that's tied to the mobile network, because like I have an eSIM for data. So that at least doesn't and it's an anonymous. I'll show you the company I use. It's called silent.link. This is what I use here. You can buy it with Monero. And so it's just a global eSIM. You can go anywhere in the world and you still have at least mobile data on your phone. And so you can avoid having being a part of a cellular network, which has, so like think about that, right? It ties your personal ID to the phone number and then also to the EMI on your device, and then also to the SIM card, so they can track everywhere you go. Like not just the cell phone providers, or the cell service providers, but also the U.S. government can track down wherever you are, because you're basically carrying around like a GPS in your pocket. And so you could circumvent that. Again, this is inconvenient to do, but you would you could buy anonymous phone numbers. Okay, you can just like buy in bulk a bunch of phone numbers with similar service. Like you can just buy them with crypto, and then assign them to a VoIP, voice over IP, and use texting with what's it called? XMPP. You can actually use XMPP for text messaging, and have that phone number use XMPP. So you can do that for your text messages, and then for your voice calls, you use the voice over IP. So like again, you have to know about this stuff. Like no one's gonna, like these companies aren't gonna teach you this stuff. You have to kind of like learn how to do this. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of time tinkering around with stuff. I mean, again, it's just, if you're the type that enjoys like tinkering around with tools and technology, you are in much better shape than everyone else, because you can use that for your benefit here. Again, you're not going to be a ghost. It's pretty much impossible now. We're past the point where you can actually be a ghost online. But you can do a lot to really decrease your digital footprint. You can do a lot to do that. But you'd have to continue doing it to maintain that, and probably do more as it becomes harder. But yeah, you have to really take efforts to do this stuff, guys. And you have to know that it's worth it. Otherwise, you're gonna quit. A non-KYC SIM card. Yeah, I'll show you the website I use for that too. Might as well. That one is called jmp.chat. I'm giving you guys some really valuable tools here. This is JMP Chat. So you can buy a bunch of numbers. It gives you a real phone number that is yours for calling and texting, including group and picture messages that works from your phone, computer, tablet, and anything else all at once. Because so this is Jabber Network, which is, like I said, XMPP. It's old. This is old school internet technology that still happens to be the most effective and anonymous way to do real-time chat online. This is what people should be moving to, XMPP instead of Discord. So like you can just choose a phone number here and say like, yeah, I want that one. And it connects to your, Snicket, Matrix, Jabber. These are all XMPP networks, I guess. It's all decentralized. So this is how the internet used to be. Everything was decentralized by default. Okay. So this is just a return back to the old way of doing things on the internet. And, so, again, it's like this gives you many more layers of privacy than just the standard way of just getting a SIM card that has both data and cell service tied to it with your ID and all the identifiers of your phone number. Now you can at least go low key with your phone number, because you can buy a bunch of these phone numbers and use one of them for your banking, use one of them for like restaurant reservations, like stuff you have to give out a phone number to sign up for. Think about how often we do that, and that's our personal number. So we're giving out the same phone number to our family members, to our loved ones, to our wives and husbands and children and everyone we know to contact us personally. And we won't even, so you won't give that number out to just anyone though. Like you won't post your number online, obviously. You won't post your phone number online, but we essentially are doing that when we are using our phone number to sign up for some company's service, because what they're doing is now they get your identity, it's tied to that phone number, and now they just sell it off to all these data agents, and then they sell it off, and then, you know, that repeats. And that's how, if you're ever wondering why you get all these spam texts and these spam phone calls, that's why. It's because you gave out your phone number to somebody who sold it to another company, and then that just, you know, perpetuated. And so like my personal phone number is cooked. Like I'm just giving up on it. I'm just literally just saying, I'm done with that. I'm going to have to go through the effort. Again, another inconvenience. This is why people don't do this stuff. It's very inconvenient, but you got to go through your contacts and tell everyone you got a new phone number. So it's like, that's just inconvenient. Who wants to do that? And so, yeah, this is a non-KYC. The silent.link is a non-KYC SIM card because it's data only. Uncle Ted is listening. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Uncle Ted route is the best way to go. And I'm not talking about, you know, the Unabomber part. I'm talking about the off-grid part. Just a complete renunciation of all this technology. But that's easier said than done. I don't think I could do that, at least all at once. You'd at this point have to gradually work your way towards there. But, you know, I'm realizing that that's pretty much the only exit from this completely is to just opt out of the whole system. Just get off the internet completely. Just log off of everything. Cancel your ISP. Just get off the internet. It's becoming more and more of a risk to be online. But even your mobile phone is a spy device, and, you know, there's things you can do to not make it that, but it takes a lot of effort, and knowing these kind of off the wall websites that look kind of sketchy and old, you know, nothing super sleek or modern looking about this website, but very powerful. $5 a month. You can just get a bunch of phone numbers, and, you know, yeah, you got to know some technical stuff. You got to know, for example, what is all this? What the hell are these things? What's a Jabber ID? What's Snicket? Did I just say a slur? Matrix, like, what is this stuff? Like, no one has these accounts, right? It's like, you got to know what this stuff is to understand how you can utilize it for online communications and how it's actually, you know, truly decentralized. So yes, there's stuff you can do. There is stuff you can do, but it's only going to take you so far. All right. So again, Apple, Android, iOS, Windows, this stuff is happening right now. And by 2027, you're going to have a serious choice to make. Don't wait that long. Start getting these systems in place now. Start learning about what you need to do to increase your online privacy. Start learning about these other systems, these parallel ways to communicate that are decentralized. Okay. There are always going to be a minority of people using them because that's how the majority is going to sign on to. What was that? What in the world did I just hear? That literally made me jump. I don't even know what I just heard, what that sound was. Did you guys hear that? Am I the only one that heard that noise? What the? I've never, that's, I'm freaking out right now because I've never heard that sound. I don't know what that sound was. It was some noise that came from, yeah, achievement unlocked. I figured out a new, as I'm speaking about this stuff, there's some service running that made a notification sound that I wasn't aware I even had. Sounded like an ad. Yeah, maybe it was this website. I don't know. Why would this janky website make that noise? That was so bizarre. Anyway, that was spooky. I don't even know. I just completely lost my train of thought. I don't even know what I was just saying. But yeah, okay. Yeah, CIA Karen's calling. Yeah, that was weird. What in the world? Jews eavesdrop. Yeah, it was a Mossad ringtone. CIA's HR found you. What? That was so bizarre. Okay. Anyway, I was like, is that a notification? Did I make a donation notification sound that I forgot about? That like a new dono tier just dropped or something? What was that? My goodness. Yeah, achievement unlocked. New Fed added to the daily watch list. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Welcome to my new glowy. Hope you enjoy your time here. Okay, so anyway, I kind of like skipped to this part, but you know, here, this is a good graphic to look at for all this. So you've got the normie. This is when I say most people. This is who I should just be saying normie, just to be more precise in what kind of person I'm talking about. But you have the privacy normie who doesn't care about privacy, just blissfully ignores big tech surveillance and data collection. You know, perfectly content with just scrolling and consuming and buying products that the algorithm pushes in front of him. Okay, this is most people in the world. Shares everything on Facebook and Instagram. Password protects phone and computer. And the normie, by the way, the normie's password management is that there is none. The normie uses one password for everything. And it's a very insecure password that the normie's been using for the past, their whole time on the internet, basically. They never changed their first password. They just keep using the same password and use it for everything. That's how identity theft it happens so effectively, is like they can get access to, you basically crack one password and then you can get access to all that same person's other accounts because they use the same password on all their accounts. So, you know, in case you're one of these normies tuning in and you don't have a password manager, that is like, if you can't figure out how to use a password manager at this point and you're still on the internet, like you with multiple accounts, like I'm sorry, but like if you can't take the effort to even just do that, you're not going to make it. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. You're just cooked. You're going to be one of these people that's just going to get completely integrated into this, whatever this is coming, whatever this is, you want to call it a beast system, whatever. Like you're totally cooked because you have to at least figure out how to protect your accounts and make them more secure. I don't know any of my passwords. If you had a gun to my head and we're like, you know, give me your password to your crypto account, whatever, pick your accounts that you think I might have. Just kill me because I don't know. I don't know any of them. And that's how it should be. You shouldn't know any of your own passwords because they should be so complex that you can't memorize them. So how does that work? You have one password that's super strong that you do have memorized, you know, maybe a 12-word phrase of random words. And that gives you access to your password manager. And then that integrates with like your browser or whatever it is that you can copy and paste the passwords into. Or you want to go like hardcore, security mode, get a YubiKey. It's called. I've got those. I've got 2 of those. One's a backup. The YubiKey is like a hardened second layer of authentication. So you can, instead of using your phone to identify like your phone number to get those like short code texts to log into an account, or use these authenticators, which is also collecting data for your devices. Use this YubiKey, which is its own piece of hardware that is an authenticator for all of your accounts that need that authentication. This separates your devices from your account. And it's just a better way of doing the authentication. So yeah, like a lot of people don't know this, but the 2-factor authentication is another data collection scam. Because when you do a 2-factor authentication on any device, you're just adding the hardware identifier of that device to that account. So now the company or whatever it is that you're logging into, on top of all the data that they've collected on you already that you've given them, they know exactly what kind of devices that you have that you're logging into. So that's, people think that's like a super secure thing, and actually even that is collecting your data. Oh, no way. Is that what that was? Let's go. Let's go. That was an epic disruption then. Did the XMR chat thing... Is that what that was? So that was an XMR chat donation? Thank you, first of all, if that's what it was. And second, I didn't see if anything came up on the screen, but we heard the sound, I guess. That was cool. Okay. Very cool. So it actually was a donation sound that I never heard before, that I didn't know about. I clipped it. I don't know if that's going to be awesome clip, but that was crazy though. You don't get the soy face reaction, I guess, because I'm not a face lord, but thank you for the XMR. However much that was an XMR, I appreciate that. That's all going to the privacy fund. I'm going to use that to buy more SIM cards. So thank you. A lot of stuff, you can use a lot of stuff with XMR. I mean, that's like, I'm becoming more of an XMR maxi as I, get more into online privacy. So that's the normie. He uses that's why it says it uses 2FA on there, because that's, I think that's what that's alluding to. And then the guy says, the normie says, I have nothing to hide. Well, I don't have to like do all this privacy stuff because I have nothing to hide. I don't know why you guys go crazy with all this, private browsing and whatnot. Like, what are you hiding? I'm not a criminal or anything. So what is the government going to spy on my, whatever weird thing I'm into? It's like huge cop out. It's just the biggest cop out excuse. What I say to those people is like, well, fine, then post your address. Like, then dox yourself. Why wouldn't you just dox yourself online if you've got nothing to hide? Whoa, it won't go that far. Like, that's doing well, that's what you're doing. You're doxing like every time you use your government identity to like that's tied to an account or your phone number, you're essentially doing that. So like when you press them on that, it's like they don't actually even think that they have nothing to hide. They just don't, they're just admitting that they're not comfortable with the level of spying that's occurring. Then you have the privacy conscious Chad, I guess, who's just, he's aware that personal data is being collected by corporations. He maybe does some stuff like hardened Firefox or Brave instead of Chrome or Edge. Okay. Uses DuckDuckGo isn't even that great. There's way more private search engines you can use. But it's better than Google, sure. Uses Proton Mail instead of Outlook. Yeah, Proton Mail is good. I use Proton Mail. uses Linux over Windows or Mac OS. Yeah. So this is more like probably many of you guys are in this privacy conscious Chad category here. Doesn't use social media much. That's not far enough. I'm starting to realize that's not far enough, but that's still me. That's still basically me. Tries to convince friends to use Signal. Yeah, okay. I'm starting to feel like this is me. I have nothing to hide, but I also have nothing I want to share with you. Okay. Well, I do have stuff to hide, just not illegal stuff, not nothing sketchy, just like stuff that I definitely wouldn't want bad actors knowing about. I mean, I wouldn't even want my my bookshelf to get completely doxxed online, you know? Like I might end up on a watch list if you even just saw my bookshelf. Then you've got the activist, which is like, this is kind of like, okay, now we're getting to what I was first saying in the beginning of the stream, where it's like, we're getting to a point where we're hitting a crossroads and we're gonna have to make a serious decision here, where you either take the approach where you're gonna have to start getting nerdy and start learning how to use these privacy tools as like a means of self-defense, like it's a digital Second Amendment, you know, think of it like that, right? It's like all these privacy tools that we have, these ways of decentralizing our communications and our transactions, our browsing, like this could all be done, but there's a lot that goes into learning how to do it, because it's like a lot of it you just have to do yourself, and you have to kind of like you know, put together, like build stuff to some effect, or know how to have these apps work together, right? You have to adjust parts of your life accordingly that now you don't have anymore, like these conveniences that you're giving up, right? So you know, you have to be conscious of the fact that it's always going to come at the expense of convenience, and you have to have a threshold that you're like, I'm taking a hard stance on this. I don't care how convenient this is. I will not sacrifice this thing that I'm, you know, that I'm not willing to give up, right? Whatever that is, you should know. You should start, if you don't know already, you should know by now what that threshold is for you personally. I mean, you guys are all tuned in on YouTube, so it's like you all have Google accounts, so you're already past that point. Like to a point, there's so much you can do. Like you can't get your data back from Google, like that kind of stuff, right? You'll never get your data back from Google. And the more you use Google services, the more data you're giving them that you'll never get back. So stuff like that, it's like, well, you know, I guess take the L on that. But how can we not take any more L's moving forward? That's what you should think. How can I not take any more privacy L's? So the activist is, he uses Tor. Okay, Tor is like incredibly private, but also very slow, very inconvenient. Every time you close it, every time you close the browser, you lose everything from your browsing activity. So like every time you open up Tor, it's a completely new browsing experience. It doesn't cache anything. There's no memory. There's no like to open tabs, bookmarks, nothing. So it's like it's the burner browser, basically. It's a burner. But it's very slow, you know, it's like it would take some adjusting to use it. So again, using even Tor, the first tool on this list is like, you're taking a big trade-off with like the efficiency and the speed. So the activist uses an email service that collects no personal info and PGP encrypts email. That's kind of where I'm at now. I don't PGP encrypt my email yet, but that's starting to become more likely that I'm going to go down that path. But it's like, you know, then you have to assume that the recipient can decrypt it, right? It's like, who are you even emailing that has a PGP key and knows how to decrypt a PGP encrypted message? Because like you can use Proton Mail. You know, a lot of these companies they like use encryption like a buzzword. And with Proton Mail, for example, it's like, yes, it's end-to-end encrypted if the other user that you're emailing uses Proton Mail. That's like, that's like maybe 1% of the people I email are using Proton Mail. Everyone else, it's just they're getting a non-encrypted message. So like, encryption involves two parties. Like there has to be, it's true encryption is end to end. It's stuff like a more notable example here, I guess, would be if you use iCloud, right? Apple encrypts the like whatever data or media you are uploading to the iCloud, right? But it's not end-to-end encrypted. It's just like encrypted in the transaction into the cloud, right? So it's like you have to know what that means, like in the different ways that they use that word. Never. Okay, so back to the activist, never uses social media, so he's not even on social media. I'm sorry, never uses social media under real name. I would say the real activist, like, yeah, well, now it's becoming harder to do that because you could not use your real name. Most people don't use their real name online. So that's not saying much, but now it's like what we're covering tonight is showing that it's going to become more and more difficult to even use social media without identifying your real, your address, your real government name to someone, whether it be the entire company you're using or to a verification service. By the way, I didn't even mention, I should have mentioned this earlier, but that whole age verification system is so one company that's like behind the what is it? Like pushing for it by lobbying is Meta. So Meta has been lobbying for these age verification systems for years now, and it's finally coming to fruition. The other company is called Persona. Persona is the company that was doing or is doing the Discord age verification, along with several other major platforms, and they are aligned with Palantir. So I think the founder of Persona, or the CEO of Persona, is also the co-founder of Palantir, if I'm not mistaken. Not Peter Thiel, like his co-founder. Forget the guy's name, but so it kind of always goes back to Palantir, doesn't it? Right. So it's like even the age verification is part of this mass surveillance, this massive like AI surveillance state that is being built now, or that is built. So, it's like, where's that data going? That's all going probably to Israel. Again, probably to Israel. Carrier pigeons. Yeah, well, we won't have to do carrier pigeons. There's ways that we can communicate offline without carrier pigeons. You still have ham radio. You still have mesh networks. You can get into that stuff now. Why wait until some catastrophic digital pandemic happens? You can just start getting into that now. If you're into communications, building off-grid communication systems, if that sounds interesting to you, there's a lot you can do right now. You can get into mesh networking very cheap. You can run a node for like $20-$30. Tinker around with some Raspberry Pis and start communicating with people in your local area. If you have other people that are on that mesh network, you can start talking to them right now. Let's go. What was that? $75. 75, a fat gem from Abject Fool. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that, Abject Fool. Very generous donation. I really do appreciate that. He says, a couple years ago, I took the dive into digital privacy and learning about OSINT. I remember following Michael Basil and off and on. Do you know him? Thoughts? What people should we follow? I don't know Michael. I've never heard it. Maybe I've seen him. His name sounds familiar, but yeah, OSINT is what you should be learning. I'll show you guys what that is. It's called open source intelligence tracking, I think. And there's a website that you can actually run a check on yourself. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, OSINT framework here. So you can use this to get an idea of like all the different points of identifying points of identification that's done on the internet. And you could just click any of these nodes and they expand into more. I mean, look at this. This when you see this, it's so blackpilling. It's like, dude, why even bother? Like, I'm just so cooked, right? But, you know, the point is, like, you can do some stuff to erase some of your digital footprint, and especially to prevent expanding it even further as this becomes harder to do. So this is a good list of like tools that you can look into. URL scan. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on here. Breach data, so you can get breach data. So what, you know, if this is all overwhelming, it may be worthwhile pursuing one of these companies that will go through the whole OSINT framework and start to erase all of these websites, like these directories that your personal data is on and sharing with all these other companies. Like, you ever see like the internet white page or the internet yellow pages, stuff like that? You know, real estate websites. You're actually less private if you own property, because you're on all of these real estate websites like Zillow that has like your name tied to your property and stuff, and it's all public. So like all this stuff that collects public records and, you know, makes it really difficult to get you scrubbed from there. You can pay a company to do that for you. Now, yes, you do have to submit, like, you know, you're essentially giving that company your data. But yeah, so it's like, well, your choice is you get a company to do it, and they'll remove like 500, you know, they'll scrub your name and identity from like 500 public websites, but they also still have some of your data to some degree, you know, yeah, they have a lot of your data probably. Or you just leave it there because you don't want to give another company your data and you do this all yourself, right? It's like, I'd rather just pay a company to do it. So I do that. There's one called, there's a couple of them. One's called Incogni, and the other is, I'm trying to remember the name. Optery. OPTERY is the other one. Optery. Yeah, Luke Smith is a good guy to follow. So you're asking their abject fool about like guys to follow. Luke Smith is kind of his own thing. Like Luke Smith teaches you how to become more independent digitally and more, you know, less reliant on, you know, corporations and stuff. But if you really want to go down like a deeper dive into like understanding digital security, online security, privacy, I would say look up Robert Braxman on YouTube is really good. There's like this redhead chick that I think is really good. Naomi Brockwell, I think her name is. Trying to think of some others. Oh, there's a guy. I'll find a really good guy for you guys. You guys will like this dude. I just found him actually pretty recently. Let's see if I could find him real quick. He'll probably pop up on my feed. Just give me one sec. I have a really good recommendation for you. Hopefully you'll get your $75 worth with this recommendation. Here he is. Sam Bent. Yeah, look at this guy here. This is who you want to be following. He's on Twitter. Really good poster on Twitter. And also so look, he just did a video on Graphene OS here. So this is an InfoSec guy.
To be bringing really positive news.
And this dude's based too. Like, trust me, he's based. But this guy you want to follow for sure. He has a video that like blew my mind about how even the average printer is tracking you. So like, even if you have a printer, like, you think that the best way to like own a piece of textual content from the internet is to print it. because it's like not on anyone's server. It's not on, it's not on a machine or anything, but like, oh, I own the papers. It's like I own a book, right? Like no one could take that from me. Well, guess what happens when you print something? Printers are all built with like a tracking mechanism. And he explains how it's all in like it's like an invisible ink almost that has unique identifiers that get sent to the printer companies, and like governments can actually use it to identify data about you from the e-ink, whatever it's called. I don't think it's called e-ink, but it's like some kind of invisible ink. It's got all these like randomly scattered dots on it or something. But yeah, look up this guy's channel, Sam Bent. He has a video on it, and it's just like, man, you can't even use printers. So they had to develop this like software that basically tricks that layer of tracking to like, so the way around it is to add more random dots to the tracking mechanism or whatever, so that it like basically renders it useless. Like it's not, it takes the data and it like makes it even more jumbled and stuff. I forget exactly how he explained it, but it's really interesting how even printers are tracking you. So you can't even use a printer online. Yeah, I'll link it. Yeah, sorry. Let me get back to this channel and I'll link it. Yeah, here, Sam Bent. So go check out Sam Bent. And, a lot of these guys like have their own programs and stuff. Like if you want to pay for someone to help you through this stuff. This other one is Robert Braxman. I've been following for a long time. This dude. I mean, look, a lot of this stuff is pretty blackpilling because he's like, here's why this thing that you use every day is spying on you. And you start to become more privacy conscious and try to eliminate this stuff or like add layers of security. And you realize like the more you learn about it, the more layers you have to add. It's like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Even my printer, I got to do something about that now, I guess. Now I have to do something about my SIM card. Now I have got to like do something about the OS I use. It's like, it just keeps unfolding. Like when you go down the privacy rabbit hole. But like I said, you could either do that like you're better off doing that if you want to keep using the internet, or just give up on it. Those are your options. If you want to be the passive normie, you're cooked. That's exactly what this is all targeting. Those passive normies that would, oh, I got nothing to hide. Like just take my ID. Just like, I'll do anything. Just give me my dopamine. Give me my YouTube and my Google Maps and my Twitter and my scrolling on my infinite scroll on Instagram. I need my infinite scroll. Please don't take that. I'll give you anything, but don't take my infinite scroll from me. Those people are cooked. So as long as you're not that, and you have the capacity to start taking measures to do something here, you can decrease the amount of exposure that your personal identity has. Obviously, just reject the age verification altogether. If there's anything that is asking for your age verification where you have to verify your, quote, verify your age, really you're submitting your ID to a company or to a government, just don't do it. Until like, think about COVID, right? How hard did many of you resist getting the jab? I would hope all of you did. How hard did you resist getting it? You were like, I don't care. If I lose my job, if I lose my home, like you're going to have to kill me basically. Like I am not getting the jab. You're going to actually have to kill me. Okay. It's got to be like that, but for this stuff too. For submitting your digital ID because of where it's going. Again, I know it seems crazy like saying it like this, like, oh, it's just an age verification. Who cares, bro? Just click the okay and keep using the app. What's the big deal? It's about where this is going and how this is all conditioning us for what's coming, which is an actual digital ID, where now you have a digital ID that you're using almost like an authenticator. Like we're already pretty much there. It's just like we're a couple steps away from actually being to the point where we have this digital verification thing that we use to log into all the services we're using, to log into the internet itself through the OS. Like we're basically there. So we need to do whatever it takes to not to not go there. Like that should be your limit. Whatever your other things you're willing to keep using, I think is less important than this. I think this is where you should draw the line. So look, he's talking about SIM cards. He did a video on age verification. So this was all a couple weeks ago that this broke, and so a lot of the videos on it are from a couple weeks ago, but it's still, developing. So a lot's still happening with it. Yeah, he talks about complex passwords there. So it's a lot of stuff where it's like, I thought I was doing it the right way, and then, I realized I'm not. So yeah, it's very humbling, actually. It's very humbling, like this privacy stuff, like, because it's like, man, really makes you think about that whole thing about where, like, how much do I care? How much am I willing to give away? Stuff that we never considered before, just being a passive consumer. Yeah, so this guy's channel's good too. Depends what specifically what you want to get into. I know this dude talks a lot about smartphones and stuff. So, for Linux, that's a whole other thing. Tons of Linux guys too, but yeah, just start watching nerdy, tech, channels on YouTube. It's very useful, actually. As long as you're putting into action what they're teaching you, it's incredibly useful. Probably one of the most useful ways you can spend time consuming content is like with stuff that improves your improves your time online. You're learning about how to use these technologies more responsibly and more mindfully if you're going to keep using them. So yeah, Luke Smith is good though. I like him. A funny thing about Luke Smith, if you guys are Luke Smith followers, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy here because I'm getting into Linux stuff, but this was another thing that just happened the other day. If I can find the bookmark here. Let me go to my, I'm realizing how much content I didn't cover. So look, if you guys are enjoying this kind of stream, I would love to cover more of, I'm going to probably do it anyway, but I've got so much stuff that I've been saving that deserves to be addressed, that we can go into more in more depth. Let me see here. I know what I'm looking for. I just got to find it in my bookmarks. Okay. Oh, this guy's good too. This is the Lunduke Journal. So this is, I think his name is Brian Lunduke, and he's a Linux guy, but he covers similar stuff, surveillance tech. And here he's breaking a story about how Pokemon Go is a surveillance game financed by the CIA. So literally all these kids that were playing Pokemon Go were just doing like digital mapping for the CIA. Like, how insane is that? They've been 3D mapping your homes for years, and now it's owned by the wife-beating Jeff Bezos, hacking journalist, murdering Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
Wanted people to spy on themselves and their friends for you, and you knew that everyone had smartphones. What would you want them to do? Well, you'd want them to take out their smartphones, hold it in front of them, so that the cameras on the front and the back of the phones could see everything that's going on.
It's so ridiculous.
You'd want to tag where they're located. You'd want to control the people's movements, which the game does.
That is so evil. That's literally what Pokemon Go is. They made a cute kids game into a mass surveillance operation that children were partaking in. Largely children were doing, mapping out their homes, mapping out their neighborhoods, and their own faces too, because it's a two-way camera. They just turned children into surveillance technology. That's how sick these people are that are like imposing this stuff on us, That is just so wild.
And record little bits of that and send it all back up to the servers, to the cloud, right? That would be the ultimate spying tool. It would be amazing. That's exactly what happened. I'm just going to read you a quick little quote from an article I wrote back in 2016, 9 years ago on this. Way back in 2001, Keyhole Incorporated, which is what Niantic used to be called, the makers of Pokemon Go used to be called Keyhole, was founded by John Henke, who previously worked in a foreign affairs position within the U.S. government. The company was named after the Eye in the Sky military satellites. One of the key early backers of Keyhole.
It always ties into the government, doesn't it? It's always the military. I mean, don't forget the military, invented the internet. The internet itself is a military technology. Abject Fool, another $10. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the very kind support tonight. Flock cameras and stores tracking you. Create a profile on you also. Physical spaces invade your privacy, linking indirectly to the digital space. Yeah, well said. Exactly. Try Cortel. I've never heard of that. Never heard. I'm always learning about new stuff, but I'll check that out. Cortel. Just bookmark it just so I don't forget. I don't see anything unless am I spelling that wrong? Cortel. I don't know what that is. Okay. Seems like it's not a thing. I don't know what you're talking about there. So yeah, Lunduke is great. So he was the one that actually first broke that story about the age verification with Linux. So you see here, the GTIG has identified an exploit that chain targeting Apple iOS users called Dark Sword. Victims get compromised by visiting a website. And this is everything it does. Messages, contacts, call logs, location, browser data, crypto wallets, Wi-Fi pass, keychains, takes screenshots and records audio just by visiting a website. It reminds me of that Pegasus virus that was that Israeli cyber attack that was going around, I think, a couple years ago. Probably still to this day. I mean, it's not like this stuff just goes away. They still have this technology. But Pegasus, for those who don't know, is a virus that would just appear as a text message on your device. And it was essentially like a digital bomb because there was nothing you could do about it. It didn't depend on you opening the text or clicking a link, like a phishing link within the text. It was just, you got the text and that data, whatever it was, like the data itself that was embedded in the text message in the SMS was where the virus transmitted. And, just like instantly collect. I think it just did all this mass data collection. So that was that. And that's, again, that was 2 years ago. This is also related, even though it seems like it's not, but you just had the other day, the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency quietly purchases aliens.gov domain name. Okay, now everyone was saying that this was for immigration. It was like, immigration aliens, right? It was like they're going to do something for like an immigration website. But I mean, the thing is, it's the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency that purchased it. Maybe it is that. I think either way, it's still leading to kind of what we're talking about here. This ties into surveillance tech, because whether it's, the space aliens, the aerial demons, form of aliens, or the illegal aliens, the immigrants or whatever, it's kind of like the same. It's like kind of from the same spirit. So I'm trying to say, it's like it involves surveillance and some kind of like why is cybersecurity and infrastructure security behind that, right? Like why would it be that and not, if it were immigration related, it wouldn't be the Department of Immigration or whatever. So that's alien.gov purchase, whatever that means, who knows? I don't think this is it's not a site yet, but they just purchased the domain. Okay, more about age verification. This was project. Oh, this is wild. Oh man. See, I told you guys I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff here. This I did want to play on the stream. So thank you if you have been tuned in, I appreciate you guys. I really do, because I know that this is a very scattered presentation, more so than usual. I know I'm probably yapping more than usual too, but it's been a while since I did a live stream, and I want to catch up on a lot of things. And I will be covering more of this for sure. I have covered AI a lot. I have covered the technocracy. I want to get more into like things that we can actually do to protect ourselves, and if at all. Because I think it's important to know that you can actually take action with this stuff, but it does require a level of knowledge. All right, did I miss something here? Another one from ID Bro. Let's go, man. The week it came out, I did a thread about keyscore intel being used in enemy of state before it was public, later Google Maps, and how Niantic had full Google Drive. Sorry, I just lost it. Google Drive access for the first week. Another 5 keyhole, not. I love the donation typo corrections, man. I always will accept a $5 correction on your previous super chat. Thank you, man. Did I miss another one here? Oh, those 2. Okay, got them. Yeah, that Pokemon Go stuff is wild, isn't it? So this is I've never seen this guy. I think maybe he's just some tech YouTuber, but this is like just how insane this AI stuff has gotten. Like now we have AI CEOs who are basically becoming deluded and probably experiencing AI psychosis. I'm trying to remember what this. Yeah, this might get a little bit nerdy, so I don't know if I'm going to play this. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with all this nerdy tech stuff because he's talking about coding and stuff. But basically, I think if I can remember correctly, he's talking about an AI, like these AI executives who are now committing to their GitHub repos markdown files that are just manifestos about AI or something along those lines. Like they're saying that it's like this really exciting project, and you go to the GitHub repo and it's just markdown. It's just their text. Like it's not even a program that does anything. And how they're using AI to do that. And so it's hyping them up on AI. Like it's like they're getting high on their own farts, basically, like the fumes of their own farts. It's just like this is what's happening now with AI CEOs. And so it is pretty funny the way he describes it, like how absurd it is. But it's, it's 7.5 minutes, so I had that bookmarked, but I just want to make sure I'm not. Maybe I'll save that for the last thing we do here, maybe. Yeah, more. So look at all these bookmarks, man. This is all within the past few days. All this stuff about. Again, this is this is all happening right now, and everyone's like just focusing on what the war. Like, not that it's not important to know what's going on with the war, but it's like this is what's happening now, while we're not paying attention. So many stories. I couldn't even cover this all in one stream. There's so many stories. I would need to do like a whole series on this kind of stuff. And it's just going to be, we're going to get more and more news on it as it keeps happening. Especially as we get closer to next year, to 2027, when this stuff all gets rolled out indefinitely. They're just passing the laws now. By next year, it's all going to get indefinitely implemented on the operating system level. At the very least, just from right now, we know that's what's going to happen. Who knows for the whole rest of the year what else they're going to roll out. And so these apps are like, look, Android now, it's like it's becoming more difficult to even use these apps that everyone loves to use on these OSs that aren't like integrated into the Google or Apple ecosystem, right? So it's going to be harder to even use these apps. This guy's good too, by the way, for geopolitical technocracy, AI surveillance, geopolitics and empire on Substack. He has some really great guests on. This episode was about. He had a guy that used to. I think this dude lived in Israel. He was a prisoner in an Israeli prison, and learned a lot about their how they use their technology for surveillance, stuff like that. They're talking about Pax Silica, So one of the few guys I know talking about that. Here's some stories about certain Linux distros that are resisting all this age verification. This one's Midnight BSD, which is like, it's funny that it's called BSD and it's like known as the most based Linux distro, because it's like super minimal and like stripped down and like, you know, doesn't even have like any of the more modern stuff. But, you know, like I said, these are the kind of operating systems we're now going to have to consider using in our day-to-day life. These really minimal kind of like not really exciting OSs that just get the job done, because that's the stuff that's not going to be targeted, and it's open source, and it's like, you know, it's on the Linux kernel. So like another one, this is what I was originally trying to find. I think it's further up here. Yeah. This right here, this is a little bit nerdy. If you like know about Linux, you know what systemd is probably, but systemd is, I wouldn't say it's an init system. It's kind of more than that. Like it handles a lot of the stuff that happens like behind the scenes in the operations of Linux, right? But it's like, yeah, it's more known as an init system, right? So it's like initializing these programs and stuff like that. And they found that it was that systemd that has the added birth date storage in order to comply with Brazil and California age verification laws. So it's going to be like systemd is in most Linux distros, but like I would say probably 90% of them, if not more, is running on systemd. So that's how they would do it on the like even with Linux, which is like all decentralized, and it's just like Linux itself is just a kernel, right? So it's like anyone can open source a Linux distro and just build their own. But because it's so dependent, or at least like, you know, the modern distros are so dependent on this systemd, it's now going to like be in most of the distros too. That's like how you would handle that, right? And so this ties into Luke Smith, because what Luke Smith was on about for years was this systemd. That's why he got all of his followers on this Arctic Linux, which is a kind of what I'm describing. It's like this really kind of old school looking Linux distro, nothing fancy about it, really simple and minimalistic. And he's been harping on being anti systemd for a long time. And I think if you were to like watch his videos or like maybe even use Arctic Linux, like you might not understand that like the potential dangers of something like systemd. And now we're starting to see like he's vindicated. Like Luke Smith was totally vindicated. Everyone that's been using Arctic Linux is totally vindicated, because it's one of the very few Linux distros that doesn't operate on systemd. It has its own, it has like, I think several init systems, if I'm not mistaken. Rinit is one of them. I forget what the other one is, but there's a few options you have for alternative init systems. Again, at the trade-off of like, you know, you don't get some of the conveniences of a modern operating system, but that's what we're going to have to be looking at now. This time calls for extreme measures now, honestly. I would rather get gaslighted by people like normies telling me that I'm like going way too overboard with like schizo privacy type stuff online than I would have normies telling, or then it would be a like actual normie that's like a victim to all of it, you know? You can never be too private. Like I said, the best you could do is just log off. So what's the second best to stay online is to just be like privacy maxing, basically. Void Linux. Yeah, Void is another one that doesn't run on systemd. Yeah, Void. But it's like, so this is what I mean. You guys are going to have to become pretty nerdy to like even install Void Linux is pretty difficult, to my knowledge. I don't think I've tried to install it. I have done a vanilla Arch install before, but Void, you know, to go from normie to like installing something like Void Linux or even just any like any non-installer based Arch distro is going to be pretty difficult. Even running Arch, if you have a NVIDIA GPU, you're going to be playing around a lot. Watch the PewDiePie video when he installs Arch Linux, and he talks about how he spent like 3 days trying to get it to read his NVIDIA drivers. It's like a known issue with Linux, right? So you're going to face all these crazy problems that, you know, with any mainstream OS, it just works. You just install, especially Apple, because it's its own, you know, it's the operating system is built to kind of operate on the Apple hardware. But even like with Windows, like stuff just works. It's just all plug and play. That's all gone with Linux. Like you have to get used to like tinkering around for hours with like how to get a you know, a driver to you know, be configured with you know, a printer or something like that. Just like really basic stuff. So that's what I mean by the trade-off with like convenience and privacy. That kind of stuff, you're going to have to enjoy it to some degree, and not everyone's going to enjoy that. So if you don't enjoy that kind of stuff, you might have to consider like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when, to use a normie operating system, you're going to have to submit your identity? You have a serious decision to make. So this is all going to force us to become Linux nerds. So this is a U.S. Senate. Covered entity shall require each individual accessing an artificial intelligence chatbot to make a user account in order to otherwise interact with such chatbot. Age verification of existing accounts. So it's the number one thing that's going to be required of that account is age verification. So the AI bots will know exactly who you are too. And that's all by design. The whole thing is AI. So even that, like what I was mentioning earlier, the meta age verification system and also persona, these are all AI automated age verification. So it's all just a massive AI data collection operation on a mass scale. This was a crazy video too. How Palantir can surveil and unalive people.
Product that we are deploying.
Oh, sorry. Let me catch up on these chats, super chats first. Thank you guys for continued support throughout this very scattered stream. Just use Temple OS. Yeah, exactly. You can. Temple OS is what the smallest, the smallest, most minimal OS ever made by based Terry. Terry was right. We should have listened, man. Yeah, just use Temple OS. Easy. You can run literally nothing that you use on Temple OS. Thank you for the 5. Thank you for the $2 there, Ghost. You are talking to a room full of ADHD schizos. Linear discussions were never an option. Yeah, I know. Maybe I should stop assuming that you guys aren't on the same page. Yeah, ADHD and like Linux stuff, like tech tinkering is maybe you could say it, to this effect, works to our advantage. You know, if you're autistic or ADHD, whatever, you could definitely harness that with this kind of stuff and get really schizoed out on it. There's no end to it. It is kind of fun. I do enjoy it. I've been doing this for years. I know I don't talk about this that much. But I will be more because it's going to become more and more relevant. And, you know, I've been doing this for years. Like I said, the last 3 years, I went back into being an Apple cuck, and now I'm done with it. So this whole, I'm spending the rest of this year, probably by the summer, I'll be completely off of Apple. And just doing what I did before I went back into the Apple ecosystem. Because I made that trade. I consciously made that trade-off. I went back into the Apple ecosystem after leaving it when I started doing more creative work. My livelihood centered more on creative work. And if you are creative, yes, Apple products are unmatched. Like, that's just a fact. Apple just... like it actually is like the opposite of Linux, because you have to do zero tinkering with the OS itself. It's just there. It works really great with the hardware, and you just get up and running with being productive, doing creative work, and not having to mess around with like all that stuff like ricing and all that. So yeah, I was doing that, and yes, it does make you more productive. That's for sure. You don't spend a whole afternoon or a whole day or even weeks on end just like tinkering around with your workflow and stuff like that. So you have to really, going into this stuff, you have to really know what your goal is. Like if you get into the Linux rabbit hole, you'll see some really cool looking desktops, like using these tiling Windows managers and stuff. And they have them all pimped out with like, doing all this ricing and stuff. Again, just watch the PewDiePie. Maybe we'll watch it. If you guys haven't seen it, there's a great video of PewDiePie basically getting Linux pilled, and he takes his gaming rig and just turns it into like a Linux machine. He does the whole ricing thing. Like you get to see firsthand experience of a guy that fell down the Linux rabbit hole. And I think I read somewhere that it was the most popular, like he was the most famous person that ever did a video exclusively about Linux. So he, in many ways, like mainstreamed Linux for the younger generations that are, maybe not as into tech to that degree. Yeah, you need you do. You need a higher IQ, which we all have. So I know that you guys are already there. Take that high IQ and harness it into decentralizing your presence online as much as you can. And you use any desktop environment in any distro. Don't need to rice it. Yeah, that's what. Thank you. That's kind of what I was getting at. It's like if you have a specific objective as to why you're getting into Linux, you could potentially avoid that stuff. The ricing and what do I mean by ricing? If you don't know, if you're not a Linux nerd, ricing is just customizing your desktop, because you can do like a million things to customize it completely. And if you're not a programmer, if you're not going to be doing any code, there's a lot of time you could save yourself from setting up these like crazy desktop environments that have like all this whole like NeoVim setup with all these hotkeys and stuff. Like a lot of the stuff is done by programmers who are like obsessed with not using their mouse, because that's a big waste of time. When the time it takes to switch from your keyboard to your mouse, if you learn to utilize the keyboard and you learn Vim commands and stuff like that, you could actually, it's crazy how fast you could operate a computer. It's actually insane. Like the mouse slows you down a lot. I'm not there. Again, I don't really have that much reason to get super into like keyboard commands, because I don't really code that much, but I do spend a lot of time in the terminal. So it's like, I probably should learn more Vim commands and stuff, because you could apply that to like everything. You could use all the Vim commands for like browsing and for all the other stuff you do. You don't even need a mouse. But yeah, so know what you're even getting into it for, and you could probably avoid a lot of those traps that can take up a lot of time and are unnecessary. But yeah, this is about Palantir and like how they use AI to target people for drone bombings and stuff.
This is Maven Smart System, Palantir's software as a service product that we are deploying across the entire department. As you can see, it's not just one data feed, it's multiple. And instead of having 8 or 9 systems for those decision makers to look at every single day in order for them to make decisions, you then fuse it into a single visualization tool. The single visualization tool allows you to select, deselect different types of data, look at different approaches to data, but more importantly, action from the same system that you're trying to develop your workflows around. Once you have a detection that you want to actually move into a targeting workflow, for example, this is what we do. Left click, right click, left click, magically, it becomes a detection. That detection then gets moved into...
They're not even using Vim, they're just clicking around.
...to a workflow. This is standard digitized workflow.
It's a Kanban board. They're using Kanbans to issue drone attacks, AI drones. This is like Trello or something. What am I looking at? This is literally a Kanban.
But I want to walk you through it quickly. You have different types of targets that are identified on the left there. Every single column produces a different type of decision-making process. Once you have that decision and you're trying to actually action that process, we now move into COA generation, course of action generation, where we are automatically, via a number of factors, trying to identify what the best asset to prosecute a target looks like. Once we've got the different approaches and we select one, we then can move directly into how do we action that target. So we've gone from identifying the target to now coming up with a course of action to now actioning that target, all from one system. This is revolutionary. We were having this done in about 8 or 9 systems.
Like, this is them bragging about it. I mean, like, this is from their perspective. They're not saying, like, look at how insane this is. They're like, this is how we do it. And this, by the way, gets into just a fun side note here with when it comes to drone warfare and AI, drone bombings. This is like the entire Talmudic justification for how Israeli wages war and why they, at least this is what I think, why they deny responsibility for all these civilian deaths. Because in the Talmud, indirect killings are permissible. And so when they use drones with AI, it's like, well, there's no human actually doing that. They just sent the drones out and they made some mouse clicks, right? So they didn't actually, like, the IDF soldiers themselves didn't actually kill anybody. It was the drones that did it. The drones and the AI did it. So, like, they have no responsibility for those deaths at all. So, like, that's why they could actually justifiably deny that they're taking part in, like, some, what they would, or what we would call a genocide, right? And this has been done for ages, man. They were doing this, like, I mean, this goes back to why they insist that they didn't kill Christ. Oh, the Romans did it. That was an indirect kill. It was a Talmudic indirect killing. They just used the Romans as a weapon to, do their killings for them. That's kind of like how Talmudic warfare has occurred throughout time. So we got another, geez, man, another 20 for my D, bro. Thank you, dude. The Slaughterbot short film has a 1-minute trailer, and it literally looks similar to this Palantir conference showcasing death drones. Before ending the stream, if you could show the 1.5-minute trailer. Yeah, of course, man. You've donated quite enough, and it sounds very interesting. I'd like to maybe just even watch the whole film. If you're not in our Discord already, I did all this yapping and never promoted anything. So here's my short commercial break, which is for my own community. If you're not in our Discord already, you're going to want to get in there. It's where a lot of these offline, or not offline, but off-stream discussions happen, where we talk about similar subjects. And I'm considering, or probably even planning soon, doing a movie night where we can just, like, watch some of these films and analyze them together. I think that might be fun. So make sure you get in there. Where's that trailer? I'm looking for it, man. I'm looking for it in here. Okay, here. Slaughterbot's trailer. I got you. Let me pull this up here. All right. Slaughterbot's trailer. Is this like a predictive programming film? Yeah, it was 8 years ago.
Pilots directed almost 3,000 precision strikes last year. We're super proud of it. It allows you to separate bad guys
exactly.
from the good. It's a big deal. But we have something much bigger. Your kids probably have one of these, right?
It's the Apple keynote.
Not quite. Its processor can react 100 times faster than a human. And just like your phones and social media apps, it does facial recognition. Inside here
8 years ago, guys,
is 3 grams of shaped explosive. They can penetrate buildings, cars, trains, evade people, bullets, pretty much any countermeasure. Just characterize him, release the swarm, and rest easy.
You can see high windows, very small, precisely punctured to gain entry to the building.
A $25 million order now buys this. Enough to kill half a city.
Legislation would be useless against the so-called slaughter bots.
Just to stay away from crowds.
We are thinking big. They cannot be stopped.
Is it a Zoom call? You can't run. You can't
When
hide.
you can find your enemy using data, even by a hashtag, you can target an evil ideology right where it starts.
Yeah, that's maybe something we could watch. Pretty on the nose, isn't it? So yeah, there you go. Slaughter bots. A couple of chats I want to address here. I could go all night on this subject, guys. You're gonna keep me here all night, aren't you? It's Metal Gear 4, yeah. Removing the human component to war as much as possible to avoid their accountability. Yeah, exactly. Discord, they're going to require facial recognition, or did they walk that back? Okay, so yeah, let me comment on Discord. So I saw some chats about that. People left Discord. We're talking about all this privacy stuff, and then it's like, yeah, I'm on our community's on Discord. Yes. I am looking to, I saw a comment about the offshore VPS that I have that I haven't launched yet. I do have, first of all, I did build a forum that I made public, and I announced it in the Discord, and basically what happened was what I expected. No one really went on there and started using it. I do understand that it's very difficult to like start a new community fresh where there's no discussions going on. But I did utilize that, and I'm going to basically scrap that idea because I don't think people are going to use it. And what we're going to do instead is start. I actually just launched today an XMPP instance, so we can have a decentralized chat that's hosted on an offshore server. So I do have that. Another reason why you want to be in the Discord, so you can know how to access that, and we can test it out together. So that is happening. That is something that's live right now. We are using that offshore VPS. Don't worry. But yeah, Discord, I mean, as it stands right now, it's still where most people are. Even these privacy communities are on there. People that are building decentralized communications with mesh networking, they're on Discord. So I think there is, like, we do recognize that it's like the opposite of like kind of what we're trying to build, but it does serve as like the meeting space for those people to start planning the next move. That's kind of the utility I see in Discord. And as far as the age verification, it doesn't apply to everybody. You could just opt out. You can not do it. I never was even prompted for age verification. It's specifically for servers that have adult channels. So if you're in these Coomer Discord channels, furry Discords, like gamer Discord channel servers, maybe you're in a server that has like a adults meme channel, so 18 plus channels, that's where you have to verify your age if you want to see those channels. So even Discord servers that have that stuff, it's when there's a channel that's 18 plus, if you want to access it, then you do have to verify your identity. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have any 18 plus channels. Okay. So I'll keep using Discord until we move to somewhere else. I can get enough people in there to move to the next spot, or until we're basically forced off of it through more digital ID stuff. So as it stands right now, you could be pretty anonymous on Discord. You can set up get yourself an anonymous email address that you register with a VPN or something that you don't use like anywhere else, and use that just for Discord. And that's kind of all you need is an email. Don't verify with any devices, just use the email. and you should be good. You can use Discord pretty anonymously, so it's still fine for that. The XMPP address, I'll post it in the Discord. I don't want to put it public right now because I literally just got it set up and registered my own account right before I went live. So I still have to set some things up. So give me like another couple days, and maybe even just by tomorrow, I'll have it posted in the Discord. We could test it out together, because the forum just was a big fail. I put a lot of time into building it, and I built all these automations for it and stuff, so I could have the Substack paid subs access like the exclusive channels. That's another great thing about Discord. It integrates with everything, and Substack is a big one. So if you are a paid subscriber on my Substack, you can just register. Like when you go to sign in to your account using your Substack email, it automatically adds you to the paid subs channels. So I don't even have to bother with any of that. So the automations are pretty nice because it integrates with everything. So that's why it's just a joke to like move. These people that are moving to these other Discord alternatives, they don't have any of that stuff. They're going to lose all of that. All the integrations they have with their communities, with these other websites, are not there. And so, yeah, I have this right here. We're looking at that. There was the age identity. Again, the company behind the age identity system that Discord was using was this company Persona, who's affiliated with Palantir. And I read something that I had bookmarked. I'm not going to be able to find it right now, but Discord announced, the company even announced, like, they were concerned with Persona having a Google endpoint for their identity, their identification verification. Was like, it was leading to a Google endpoint, so it was going to Google server, so it was more data being collected by Google ultimately. So again, this is why you kind of got to follow some of this tech stuff. If you're like deeply into the online world, it's like you have to know what's going on. Where's your data going when you sign into something? Where's your data going? And I saw a comment earlier about like Luke Smith was right. Yeah. And that's the way to go. I mean, look, he's completely off grid. I would love to like have a conversation with Luke Smith, like have him on a stream and interview him and just have a chat with him. I don't even know how to contact the guy. And that's how it should be. You should be so like off of the grid, at least online, like be so hard to reach that people don't even know how to get to you. Someone's got his email. I know I can probably figure out how to contact him. I know that there's been other people who've had him recently, like on their YouTube channel and stuff. But last I knew, he was becoming Orthodox. He's probably living a much quieter life than we are, and completely disconnected from this stuff. It's interesting how he's always had this like love-hate relationship with, I think mostly hate relationship with technology, but using it as defensively. That's how we should be using it. A lot of these stuff that Luke Smith covers seems extreme. Using these think pads, becoming a think chat, as he called it, and using these old think pads because they are the last laptops that have the Intel chips that you can install Libre boot on and close the back door on these chips. You can't do that anymore. Now all the chips we use, they all have back doors, and there's nothing you can do about it. So even if a hacker or the government wanted to backdoor your computer or your device, they could just easily do that if they wanted to through the hardware itself. They could just bypass all of your logins and just go through the Intel backdoor. So yeah, like we should have listened. I did listen, and I went back to being an Apple cuck. But once I leave again, that'll be it. I'm never going back. And I don't think I'll have a choice now. I don't think I'll have a choice to go back to Apple. You'll have to verify your ID to go back. Running a T430, but sadly battery's cut. Yeah, the battery's terrible. You're going to have to always have it plugged in. Again, more trade-offs. You know, you got to like. There's trade-offs with all this stuff. This is all being done at the expense of our convenience. That's how it's all done. Same with COVID, right? Just get the jab and your life will be better. You can go back to work. You can just do normal things. You can go to concerts. You can eat at restaurants again. You want that convenience? Just get the jab. That's all we ask, right? It's the same thing with all this stuff. Same trade-off. Things are going to be harder. It's going to be harder to do this stuff. To me, it's really not that hard, to be honest. It's just that we're used to the convenient way. We're used to this boiling frog effect of convenience. So it's just going back to the old way of doing things. And yes, it's harder than it was before because there's more you're fighting against. But using digital technology defensively to protect yourself, right? Not offensively. We're not hackers. We're not, launching these cyber attacks, right? It's like we're just protecting ourselves from these invisible forces. Like I said, just having your phone running right now in your pocket it's just mining all this data at your expense, literally at your financial expense. You're paying for it. You're paying for other companies to spy on you. Yeah, he tried to warn us too. He tried to warn us. Klaus, we should have listened to Klaus. He told us.
Really changed the world. Hermann Graf, Your Excellency, Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin, dear participants, it's such a privilege to address you all at a time when we so much rely on digital infrastructure and, of course, its underpinning cybersecurity. I wish to thank in particular my good friend and committed partner at the World Economic Forum, Mr. Hermann Graf, the CEO and chairman of the executive board at Sberbank, and of course also a member of the board of trustees of the World Economic Forum. The forum has built an excellent relationship with the Russian Federation, both with the business community as well as with the government. I was pleased to meet with President Putin last year, and I look forward to deepening this relationship with you, Mr. Prime Minister, and your government. 2020, the year...
We're not going to watch this whole thing. It's 11. But this is him talking about an inevitable blackout, a cyber pandemic that's going to come. Back in, this was posted last year, but I mean, this was, 5 years ago he was saying this. And, it's still on the WEF website, how we need to be prepared for a cyber pandemic, and literally says on that same article that it will be necessary to have a digital vaccine. So that's not a literal vaccine. That's like the digital form of a vaccine. What would that be? What would that be? I can't think of anything else other than a digital ID, and we can see that it's going in that direction. It's very obvious now. It's not even speculative. So OS level, guys. You want to use an operating system? Verify your identity. A lot of talk about Luke Smith, which is good. He's a good resource. I mean, his videos are old, but they've aged very well, I would say. His websites. Yeah, if you've ever been to Luke Smith's websites, he's also very aggressively anti-JavaScript, and so he built all these websites that are just plain text, like how the internet used to be, just plain text. And I think another big responsibility that we're going to have, especially as Orthodox Christians, is to start archiving websites that are not going to be around much longer. So I just did this actually recently, but the first thing that came to mind was this here, Orthodox Wiki. Okay. This website is a wealth of knowledge. See how slow it is? I'm just trying to load this website. Look how slow it is, right? This is just built and maintained by one, I think, priest. Who knows how involved he is with it currently. And we're just basically taking for granted that it still even exists as a URL and it's still accessible because it's all owned and operated by or maintained by one guy. It's a wiki. So I think he vets the submissions. I don't even know how active it is with new edits and submissions. But what I did was I downloaded this I scraped and downloaded the entire site and compressed it into a zim file so that you can access it offline. So you can download it and it's not as big of a file as it would be otherwise, and you can just access it offline exactly how it looks. You have to self-host for that. But, this kind of stuff, you don't have to know all this geeky stuff and like building your own home lab and whatnot to do this. You can start even just identifying websites that you think should be preserved offline so that we can access this really useful information offline when there is an inevitable outage for however long. Survival websites are great. Like, how are you, like, a lot of us are going to be in trouble, man, if we end up in some kind of survival scenario after spending so long relying on the internet to find any information that we need to adapt quickly to our environment. That's going to be gone. So how are you going to access all this wealth of knowledge that's there already on these websites that are going to be inaccessible in this kind of event? You better start archiving. Archive this stuff offline and provide ways that people can access it now so they can download it and have it offline and access it without internet. So I went ahead and did that for this website and many others. Like I said, survival websites are very useful for this kind of thing. I'm thinking like this website here, for example, the Survivor Library. This is like something like 80 gigs of PDFs on old survival books from pre-World War II. And if you go to the index, look at this. All these subjects, there's a whole library of survival books in PDF form based on pretty much every possible thing that you would need to know to rebuild society. And, again, it's dated, so it's not going to have all the communications stuff isn't going to be as up to date, but, add that to the library, right? It's like, we need to start building stuff is what I'm trying to say. Like, let's build this stuff now while we can. And so that's why I want to start getting more into like decentralized communications right now, moving into stuff like XMPP for our communications so that we can actually have an objective with our community and start working on like building stuff together. Even if you're not very tech savvy, you can contribute in many ways. Just because you have internet access, you can contribute just by finding websites like this. Maybe you're good at just like finding stuff, or you remembered really useful websites that you would like to have permanent access to. The web's not going to save itself, We just take for granted that this stuff exists. Look up the term, what is it? Link rot. There's something, let me see if I can find this. There's a website I remember that shows a visual of, is it this here? No. I'm looking for, there's a website I remember seeing like a whole visual on all of the websites that are link rotted. Link rot means like the link's just dead. Like the URL expired and the maintainer of the website just never renewed it, and that everything on that site is inaccessible now. It's like a large majority of the internet is link rotted. And so yeah, it's like that's all gone. Like, how much of the internet did we lose? Probably more than we have at this point. Have sites like the archive, the Internet Archive, archive.org, and the web, the Web Archive, I think it's called. That's like trying to archive every website. like even that is like dependent on that organization existing. They just last year underwent a cyber attack where the whole Internet Archive was inaccessible for like over a month. And that could just happen permanently. That's one attack away from just having being permanently inaccessible. And no independent person has the server space or the capacity to host the entire Internet Archive. Like, you need these organizations to do stuff like that. And it's still centralized under that, those whatever data centers are archiving them. So you just, that's why all these cyber attacks are targeting data centers, because you can wipe out a huge amount of crucial data, whether it's military related or health, like banking, financial, like whatever it is. You could do serious damage if you just target one data center. That's why these global cyber attacks that's exactly what they are doing. Let me check up here. I'm enjoying this, guys. I know I'm kind of spurging a bit, but I enjoy talking about this stuff. I hope I'm not being too redundant, but you could see here that I'm even using a private self-hosted search engine. This is called SearX or SearX or something. SEARX. NG it's called, and I just self-host my own search engine. Nothing can track me here. Literally nothing about my web searches can be tracked at all. No account, there's nothing to be logged. It's just running on my home server. So you can do a lot of stuff self-hosted. I do as much as I can. I run as many applications and services as I possibly can on my home server. And that kind of thing you can keep going offline, by the way. You lose access to the internet, you can keep your own home network up and running without the internet, but you can keep your local network, like the stuff that you have going. You can keep those machines in communication with each other and accessible. Yeah. Earthquake Foundation, a totally not fed, glowy organization, just burned Israel Data Center. Yeah, exactly. I mean, even with this war in Iran, it's like Iran could hit a major Israeli data center that has a huge impact on the American cyber infrastructure. Because just like everything else, we outsource a lot of that to Israel. How much of our data is already in Israeli data centers, At this point, it'd probably be good if that happened. It would be a benefit to us because it would wipe out a lot of our personal data if that happened. I did post something about this like on X. Let's see if I can find the post. Because I want you guys to see some of like the reactions to this and like how normies think about this stuff. Yeah, right here. So this was a boomer tech moment from James O'Keefe, who got locked out of the iCloud and like lost a bunch of crucial data that he had in his, with his journalism. So you have all these, famous journos that are still using the quote cloud, which is, we know that it's not really there's nothing cloud about it. It's just it's a server. It's Apple's servers. And because you need an Apple account to access it, you're at their mercy to even access your own data. And he got locked out. And so I said, no serious journo should be using Apple products and especially relying on cloud services. And you had all these Apple fanboys coming in to say like, oh, actually Apple's the most secure and all this stuff. He goes, counterpoint, Apple offer protection to journalists that Android can't match. So like, look at this dichotomous thinking. He's thinking it's either Android or Apple. Like, so Apple's, more secure than Android, which is true. But the mistake is thinking that those are the only options. And And I said, counterpoint, stop entrusting any big tech corps that interface with the State Department, no matter how many times they say encryption and security. It's not difficult to own your own data. It's only less convenient until you get locked out of the cloud. And I don't even know if that's what I was trying to show. It was there was one comment in here that just came to mind. I know I responded to it, so I don't know where it is, but whatever. But the guy was basically like, oh, I think it was a different post. I think it was a different post. Yeah, it was, I know it was recent here. Yeah, this one. So this guy, so I'm talking about, you know, this coming cyber pandemic, whatever you want to call it, right? And the response, I'm not going to be able to find it, whatever, but the first response was like, that sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Like, wipe out the whole internet and go back to the old. And it's like, well, yeah, you're missing. Yeah, that sounds good on paper, but what you're missing is that this is part of a plan for the economic reset. The whole point of this global cyber attack is to wipe out the financial sector, is to like basically create this entire economic reset, because, you know, all the banks run on the internet. All of our money that's in the bank is just numbers on a computer that are dependent upon like networks and, you know, internet access, right? So you just wipe that all out, and that's how the actual great reset happens, the financial the economic reset. And so what comes after that is what's not going to be based at all. Like, you can be like, oh yes, just nuke the internet. Sounds good to me. You just nuke the internet and we'll be fine. Like, that'll just put everything back to like, we'll have this trad way of living again. Well, no, because it's what's coming after that is not going to be good. That's the Antichrist architecture is going to be built on that. I mean, it's already being built now, but it's like, that's where it will really start to become very undeniable if it isn't already. It's going to just, you know, next phase of it is just whatever's being rebuilt after that. So we're going to have no choice. Like, we're going to, you know, whether this is coming in our lifetime or not, our offspring is going to inherit this, you know, whatever's coming. I have some data in Google because I don't have space on my disk, and my wife is more normie than me, so we pay 100 gigabytes a month for a buck. But I want to make a personal server this year. Yeah, you should look into that. I mean, if you're as long as you know that whatever you put on that Google Drive, you know, I like to take the approach when it comes to using quote cloud services where you're relying on a third party, like a company, a third party server to access that data. I take the same approach as I do with investing in financial assets. There's that famous saying, don't invest more than you're willing to lose. It's the same with putting anything on a quote cloud service. Don't put anything on there that you're not willing to lose. Don't treat it like a backup. It's not a backup. There's a million things that could go wrong where that happens, that's unforeseen, that you don't anticipate happening, that you no longer have access to that data now. So as long as you don't treat it like a backup, and you're obviously not putting, I mean, I think I don't have to say this, but, you know, obviously you don't want to put anything that could put your online safety at risk. I'm not talking about illegal stuff either. Okay. Or yeah, like weird stuff. I think you guys get it. Like stuff that could get you on a watch list. Let's say that. Cause that's just on Google server. It's just there permanently. And you can't, you know, a lot of these services, you could delete like Facebook is the prime example of this, where you could delete your account, but you can't remove all of the data that you provided from the server. It's not like there's one button you press and it deletes your account and withdraws all the data you submitted. The data stays on all these servers. So, and you're like always tied to that. There's very, very little you can do to erase your digital footprint. at this point, we should be more concerned with adding to it and how to prevent adding to it, because there's very little you could do to erase it, especially with corporations that we already gave our data to. There's basically nothing you can do that's already theirs. All the stuff that you post on Twitter, that's all permanent on Twitter servers. You can't remove that. Same with Discord. Everything you say on Discord gets logged. You can delete the logs from that server, from your side of the server, but not on Discord's end. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why there's a huge surge in the price of RAM right now. Memory is like insanely expensive. I think it's something like, last I checked, it was like $250 for like a 16 gigabyte stick of RAM, something like that. So it's like insanely expensive prices going up, and that's all reflecting, I think, the greater sentiment. You could say maybe it's just AI or something, but regardless of what it is, it's like the prices are going to go up. You should probably invest in hard drives and memory, stuff that can actually help you out in this kind of situation if you do want to stay connected with computers. If you're not taking the Uncle Ted route and just unplugging completely and going actually off grid and just not being connected whatsoever, if you want to preserve stuff, you want to kind of like, maintain using computers or something for whatever reason. I mean, I think we're all going to be forced to, start investing in hardware. Might be a good route to go. I mean, I haven't lost money on any hardware, on any computer hardware that I bought in the past like 10 years. I haven't lost any money reselling any of it. In many cases, you can actually make money, like, which is crazy. Like, you can use up parts for like 5 years every day and then sell them for a profit, which is insane. Like, that's where we're at. In some cases, not in all, but with processors, different story. But shout out to Unk. Yeah, man. Hard copies of everything you need. Yeah, thank you for saying that, Irish Catholic lass. That I think is the most important. That's why in our book club, I don't do any kind of ebooks. If you join our book club, I'm gonna make you buy a physical copy of the book. I actually can't make you, but just start collecting hard copies of books, especially. No one can take someone has to break into your house and actually remove the books off your shelf when you're not there, when you can't actually do something about it, to take them from you. Physical items, obviously. It's the same with gold and silver, right? It's like, should probably also be investing in gold and silver. Not crypto. Why? Why not crypto? I wouldn't say don't invest in crypto. Do that too. But if we're talking about some kind of like, if what you're preparing for is this speculative, maybe not so speculative digital pandemic, what good is crypto going to do you? How are you going to buy and sell, or even just buy like day-to-day goods? Like, how are you going to buy toilet paper with crypto? How are you going to buy anything with crypto? There's no internet. How do you do that? So, get some Monero, but also especially hard assets for sure. If there's ever a economic reset throughout history, it's always been reset against gold. I'm definitely a gold boomer when it comes to gold and silver. I'm a gold boomer for sure. That's like, don't really have to argue much for that. It's like literally the historical record proves that every time countries around the world, financial systems collapse and they reset, they do it against gold. Hand tools, yep. Absolutely. Yep. Learn how to work with your hands, learn how to build things again. And like I said, you know, for someone like me, I do heavily rely on internet information being accessible on the internet to learn how to do things. I'm a very fast learner. I'm very resourceful, and I'm a researcher. So like I can very easily find whatever it is I need to do, or whatever new autistic fixation comes up, new hobby drops. I can go, you know, neck deep into it because I have the skills to research, and I know how to find things. I'm, you know, all that stuff. And so I do very much heavily rely on having access to the internet to find what it is I'm trying to learn and try to do. So for someone like me, I find a great responsibility to make sure that I will continue to have access to the things that I need to know about in a scenario like this, a form of digital prepping, if you will. But you should, obviously, if you are prepping for some kind of digital thing, you should be prepping in the material sense too, with all the things that come with that. How to actually, you know, then you're talking like, how do you even power a computer? You need generators, you need solar power. You know, how do you maintain communications? Like all that stuff. You know, before I even learn how to start growing my own food and learn how to build a shed or anything like that, I got to find the information first. I don't know all this stuff off the top of my head. I need to like have the resources to access that knowledge, right? So books are the primary way to do that. But you know, 100 gigs of PDFs is, no one could afford to buy that amount of physical books. So I do think that there's a big advantage in having these huge digital libraries at your expense, like that are accessible to you. So do both really. But yeah, then there's you know, books are just, I love having physical books. There's just nothing like it. PDFs are just like, it feels so weird to read a book on a screen. It's just like, I just can't do it. I can't listen to audiobooks either. But anyway, I think I'm just definitely just kind of winding down with the spurging now. So if anyone else has any comments they want to share, like I said, definitely make sure you are in the Discord. We can we have these ongoing discussions. Everything I'm talking about now is just an ongoing discussion in the Discord. So if you'd like to just start being part of a community, yes, it's online, yes, it's in Discord, but we're gonna plan our exit together. We're going to plan how to start you know, preparing these things, getting our privacy back, you know, reclaiming control over our data, decentralizing, all this kind of stuff. You're going to want to be on the Discord for that, sharing our resources together. I shared with you guys, I believe, at least if you got anything out of this long stream, you got those two very valuable resources on how to use a smartphone and not be connected to a cell service provider without having all of your data being trafficked through T-Mobile or AT&T or Verizon. You can at least do that and continue using a smartphone with an anonymous phone number that's not tied to a cell provider, that's not as easily traceable, and maintain some sense of anonymity. You can't obviously have total anonymity on the internet. You definitely can't have total anonymity with a smartphone at all, but it certainly puts you at a much, it's all about making it more difficult to get your data from these bad actors. It's all about just making it harder for them to get it, you know? So the best way to do that is to log off completely, but the second best way is to actually arm yourself, actually add all of these layers of protection so that you're not as easily traceable. So yes, you can still have a smartphone and do that. I shared with you tonight 2 resources for that. You can get go to silent, silent.link. You can get a data SIM without having to KYC, without needing an account, an email, anything. You just do a crypto transaction. I was actually amazed how fast it was. You do the, as soon as you drop the Monero transaction, it gives you all the stuff you need to add the eSIM to your device, and then you're good to go. And then you can just get on XMPP to do all your texting and voice over IP. And yeah, it's a little bit more technical. It requires some setup. But that's what we're talking about here, is that trade-off. Go back to trading off the hard way of doing things and the less convenient way, because that's how you'll gain any freedom back that you maybe once had. That's how you get it back, is by making things harder for yourself. So thank you all for tuning in to this live stream. I hope that it was enjoyable. I hope that it was maybe informative, maybe entertaining, but I do appreciate you all listening to me just yap about this stuff in a very unstructured way. And I especially appreciate the fact that you are that some of you are willing to donate your hard-earned money for that. Thank you to all of those who submitted donations. Abject Fool, thank you very much. And ID Bro, thank you very much as usual. I really, really appreciate all the financial support. It does go a long way. It allows me to continue doing what I'm doing, not just on the stream. More importantly, probably I would say with my more permanent work that I've written, that I've published on Substack, that I've also, we're talking about all this stuff. I've also went through the effort to make sure that that's all not only backed up and offline, but also it's on my it's on my offshore VPS. And I'm like a button push away from that being completely self-hosted and uncensorable. I'm not if I get nuked from Substack or YouTube or any of these other platforms, the next move is going somewhere where I have total control over my content. And it's not to another platform. It's not like one of these other platforms. It's like, oh, we're the the based conservative, pro free speech platform, like one of these Rumble alternatives or whatever, where it's like, oh, we're just hands off. Like, no, we're not going there. We're going to self-hosted. That's the next move from here. So, because if it happens on Substack, it's like, it's pretty much over. I'm not bouncing around from platform to platform. The next move, any place I get kicked off, it's to self-hosted. So yes, it's difficult to set that up. It's very difficult to set that up. But I did it because, and your donate. My point in saying all this is your donations enabled me to do that, to spend like weeks where that was like the main thing I was doing, was setting all this stuff up so that people and, more people that become exposed to my content, they will indefinitely be able to access it, regardless of what platform they first encountered it on. So I do thank you very much for supporting financially the efforts like that to keep this whole thing that I'm doing here up and running. So thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. Stay strong in the fast here. We're about halfway through, I think, something like that. And I hope to see you in the Discord. And until then, we'll see you in the next stream, which I'm starting next week. I'll have more freedom in my schedule to actually do some more regular streams. So I know I said this last week, but this time I mean it for real. I do plan to be doing these streams more often, maybe twice a week. We'll see. But that's, the plan is to at least have a more structured schedule. So looking forward to that. I'll be seeing you guys at least next week. So take care, good night, and God bless.